Disclaimer. This video's information is being provided for informational, educational, and general interest purposes only. The information in this video is not intended to shock, enrage, or otherwise provoke the viewer. The sole purpose of this video was to raise awareness of true crime-related events. Copyright disclaimer: under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
South Dakota Attorney General Jason Ravnsborg struck and killed Joe Beaver while he was driving from a political event the night of September 12, 2020. He called 911 and said he canvassed the area, but he didn't see Beaver's body.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
911, this is Allie. How can I help you?
Allie, Allie, I'm the Attorney General, and I don't know, I hit something.
You hit something?
By Highmore, and it's in the middle of the road.
Okay, give me 1 second here. Let me get you a map. Do you know where you're at?
I believe I'm by Highmore. I can see the town.
Okay.
I think that's Highmore.
East or west?
I just went through it. I am west of Highmore.
Okay.
About a mile, if that.
Okay. And this is Scott?
Say again?
What was your name?
Jason Ravnsborg.
Ravnsborg. Perfect. Okay.
You said he got real busy.
Are you injured at all, Jason?
I am not, but my car sure as hell is.
Uh-oh. Are you out of the roadway?
I am out of the roadway. I was able to get over, but...
Okay.
Okay, what?
It sure hit and mashed my windshield.
Oh, no. Okay, do you think it was a deer or something?
Is he vomiting?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it was right in the roadway. And
Okay. And were you traveling westbound then?
yes, westbound, back to pier.
Okay. Alrighty, well, I will go ahead and let the sheriff know. He's the one that's on call right now. He'll be responding from home, and I'll have him come out and talk to you and take the report. Can I just get the license plate off your vehicle, Jason?
Yes.
How long ago?
G00027.
Okay. Government plate?
Well, it's a Bronze Star plate.
Okay.
It's my personal car.
Okay. All right, I will get him headed that way for you, Jason.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Ravnsborg was driving back to Pierre from a Republican fundraising dinner in Spink County that evening. He was heading west on Highway 14 and had just passed the small town of Highmore when he struck and killed Beaver, who was facing traffic and walking on the shoulder of the road. Authorities say he was carrying a flashlight. Ravnsborg told authorities he thought he hit a deer that Saturday night and didn't realize he'd struck a pedestrian. Ravnsborg was alone in the car at the time and was not injured. Investigators say Beaver had been walking to his truck at the time he was hit. His truck had crashed on the side of the road and he was walking back to try and fix it. A crash reconstruction map shows Ravnsborg's car had drifted into the shoulder when he struck Beaver.
I never even noticed that. I didn't either. Grab the Jesus there. Again, thanks for coming down.
Absolutely.
Here's my card right away, so I
That's good, yep.
give it to you. I am the case agent for the Bureau in North Dakota, and our needs a supervisory special agent out here helping with it. So
Similarly set up to us, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
We are. I'm talking to Dave.
Okay. All right. Well, we're out here trying to help piece this all together, and so we just want to get your take on what happened, what your recollection is. You know, there's no criminal charges filed right now. You're free to go at any time. Any questions that we ask, if you don't want to answer any of them, just let us know. Like I said, you are free to leave. At any point, if you decide you want to leave, just let us know you're done. And you can either walk out or we'll escort you out, whatever, however you want to do that. You know, if at any point you decide that you don't want to talk anymore, we'll just end the interview, okay? So let me just get some basic information. So it's Jason, right? Jason. How do you spell your last name? And how do you say your last name?
That's always the trick. Ravnsborg.
Okay.
But it's pronounced rounds, like a round circle.
Okay.
Berg, like an iceberg. It's Danish. They even said it wrong at the inauguration.
Isn't that how it goes?
My father was there, and he holding the Bible, and he was, well, looks like you got some work to do yet.
Yeah, not how I would have guessed. I would have assumed Ravnsborg.
Yeah, I get everything.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. What's your date of birth?
4/12/76.
Okay. And what's your address?
1109 Bridgeview, all one word, in Pier, 57501.
57501?
57501, yeah.
Okay. And what's the best phone number to reach you at?
Okay, I can give you multiple ones.
Okay, yeah, I'll take them all.
So let's go with 605-773-3215.
And what is that?
That's the office.
Office, okay. All right. So which one is the best one to get in touch with you at?
Well, I guess let's go with work cell.
Work cell? All right. Okay. Like I said, we just want to get kind of the step-by-step account of what happened that night, and you know. So you're the
I'm the Attorney General of the state, yes.
Okay.
South Dakota.
How long have you been doing this?
I got elected in 18, and I got sworn in on January 5th of 2019.
January what did you do?
January 5th
5th.
of 2019.
Okay. All right. In your office is here in Pier?
The main office is here in Pier. We have
Okay.
satellite offices, but the main office is here.
Okay. All right. So,
which is up at the Nicholson Center.
okay.
Where DCI's on second
Yep.
floor and we're
Okay.
on first floor.
Okay. Yeah. He pointed out that building to me yesterday. I had never seen it before.
Public safety building, is that what they call it?
The Nicholson, well, we call it the Nicholson building. We had a
Okay.
governor that got killed in a plane crash, and we named it after him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Mickelson, I believe. It's a pretty famous South Dakota name. The grandfather and father both were governors then.
Okay.
Wow.
And then the most recent one was the speaker.
So, this happened on Saturday night, which would have been the 12th.
Yes.
So it happened September 12th.
Correct.
So, kind of take me through that evening leading up to that. Where were you at?
Okay, so I was in Redfield, South Dakota, at a place called Roosters, and then that was at the Spink County Lincoln Day dinner. These are usually dinners held in the spring, but because of COVID have been largely moved to the fall, and they are county party functions, and I guess it's a Republican function.
Okay.
A political function. And Senator Rounds was there, and he was the keynote speaker.
At the Lincoln Day dinner?
At the Lincoln Day dinner.
Okay.
And that's U.S. Senator Rounds. You know.
Okay.
And then I spoke at the event.
Okay.
And a guy named Larry Nielsen is the chair of the party there. In anticipation of a meeting, I did reach out to him and ask if I could have the guest list of who was there, and he has provided that, and I can give you that.
Oh, okay.
Of everybody that was there.
Sure. Okay.
I also have, I guess I would say that I also got the waitress's name, so that I've never met her before that night, but I got her name just to show that I did not drink alcohol that night. So how these events usually work is they have like a silent auction. It's the party faithful come in. There's some speeches throughout the night. There's approximately 30 people there. I didn't count per se, 20, 30 people. And I had pictures with people. Being a statewide official, I had pictures taken with people, and I have pictures of me on the stage. I took pictures of other legislators and Senator Rounds and other people. I have those pictures of the event. We had a lot of just, you eat a meal, which I had a steak and a baked potato, and I had one Coca-Cola, regular Coca-Cola, and that's all I had to drink.
What time of day does it start?
So it starts at approximately 5 o'clock. I think I arrived around 4:45 to 5, right in there, right before it started officially. And then I want to say I left around 9:15. Okay. I don't know the exact time.
Yeah,
I was here at the time.
Yeah, you're not setting your watch by it or anything.
So you said left around 9 though, you thought?
Yeah, 9-ish.
Okay.
So when the event happened like normal, they have auctions and speeches, like I said, and you mingle and talk with people, interactive throughout, and that's what a normal evening is, I guess. And then concluded that part of the program, or that evening, part of the evening. Okay. Do you have any other questions about that?
Were you by yourself? I mean, did you attend it by yourself?
Yes, I drove to and from the event by myself. Okay. And I guess I was driving my own personal vehicle. I was not driving a state vehicle. I thought, and this is a purely political event, Republican event.
Okay. What is your personal vehicle?
A 2011 Ford Taurus, and it's red in color.
Okay. All right. So, so you said you were at the Spink County Lincoln Day dinner. Was that it? That's in Redfield?
That's in Redfield.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding.
Yep. Spink's the county name, Redfield's the town name.
Okay.
It's like the county seat of that town.
Yeah.
County. Sorry.
Okay. How far is that from here? Like driving time-wise?
Approximately 2 hours.
Okay. Is it basically a straight shot on that highway that...
Okay, so this Mickelson Center that we told you about up on Highway 14, how I traveled is I traveled all the way straight on 14 till you got to Miller, South Dakota.
Okay.
Then I went north, and then there's a T intersection. I guess I don't know the name of the road offhand at the moment, but you go north, and there's a T intersection. If you go left, you're going to go to Faulkton. If you go right, you go to Redfield. And obviously, I went right. So, I mean, you basically made an S-curve on is the route.
Okay. And then on your way home?
Same route.
Same route, just... Okay.
In reverse, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you left around 9. Did you make any stops?
I did not make any stops, no.
Okay. All right.
Until the incident.
Right. Okay. So you're driving, and kind of tell me about what happened then.
I left the event, and I'm heading west on that initial road I called my father.
Okay.
His name is Richard Ravnsborg. Obviously, same last spelling. I mean, I can spell it again to make it easy. My mother passed away 3 years ago unexpectedly, so I try to call my father every night. And so
Okay.
I called him. My phone shows that I called him for 23 minutes, apparently.
Okay.
That's not, just kind of the time. But then on the curve, when you go south towards Miller again, get off that road and you go south, there's a big dead spot out there somewhere, and the call dropped.
Okay.
And so then I called my father back,
Okay.
and it was a very short 2-minute, hey, I didn't hang up on you kind of call. I just calling you back that I didn't, it dropped or something, and I didn't hang up on you.
Right.
And then I turned the corner at Miller, and I drove on 14 again now, and went until I got to Highmore. I approached Highmore, and going, slowed down through the town, and I thought about getting some gas or not. I looked to the left and right, and they just both looked closed, so I didn't do that. And I went through, and I saw a sign that said 65 miles an hour, so I believe I started to accelerate. And then I saw a sign that said 48 miles to Pier. And, you just kind of did one of those groans, like, oh, you still got 48 miles to go. And then, quite frankly, wham!
Okay.
I hit, the incident happened. I never saw anything until the impact. I immediately jump out of the car and call 911 within seconds. I believe my phone will show, and the records show 1024. It's what when I called.
Called 911.
Right. I mean, if I can demonstrate a little bit, I got out of the car and I jumped out, and I'm looking back towards Highmore, because I think I'm at Highmore, but now I'm shook up. And I call and I said, I am the Attorney General. I am approximately a mile west of Highmore, I believe. I've hit something in the road. I need some assistance. Who is this? That's the response I get. And I think, and that's not 100%, but I think I said my name then, Jason Ravnsborg. I'm not sure. I remember thinking at the time, which was easier. It's not an easy name.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But I am walking back towards Highmore as I'm talking to her, because I'm trying to see that sign for the town to make sure that I'm at Highmore.
Okay.
And I think I said something like, yes, I'm at Highmore, a mile west of Highmore. And she said, the sheriff, something to the effect, the sheriff is the only one on duty, and he'll be out soon. And I said, that'd be fine. I hang up the phone and I put it on the light, like it's got a flashlight feature, and I start to look at the highway, and I look at the road ditch to see if I can see anything that I hit, because I'm thinking it's a deer at this point, but I did not see anything. I didn't have a time to swerve or accelerate or decelerate or anything. I didn't see anything. And I then go to the front of my vehicle and I snap one picture of the vehicle. And I'm willing to give you that now, please see too. And then the sheriff pulled up. So I stopped taking any other pictures, because he stopped, so that just interrupted me. And I said, and so that's Sheriff Volek, V-O-L-E-K, I believe is his name. And I said, he said, well, what happened? And I said, well, I believe I got hit by a deer, and it was in the middle of the road. I don't know. And he commented, and I shook, he looked at it, and he's looking at my vehicle, and he said something to the effect of, well, at least it didn't knock out your side window, because it did not break the passenger window. And I'm looking at it, and I did not observe any blood or fur or anything, no damage, any effects. And I didn't see anything on the ground of any liquids, I guess. I don't know how to say that. But again, I did see, like I said, my debris was on the shoulder. And I believe I was on the road the whole time. He then said, well, get your registration and proof of insurance and come back to the car with me. So I get in my car and I do that. I get those things and I take those items back to the car, and he fills out, I guess I didn't bring that with me, I can show you that too, but he gave me a red tag, which basically means that you have, and it says on there, you reported the accident to law enforcement immediately and complied with the law, basically. I don't know if you got something similar, but I can obviously give you a copy of that. I'm willing to do so.
Okay.
He said, well, are you all right? And I said, yeah, well, I'm just shook up. I mean, I think I'm physically all right. I mean, but I'm shook up. And he goes, well, it's going to, do you want to ride into, where do you live? He did ask, I think in the sequence, where do you live? I says, well, I live in Pier. And I think I probably went too far. I think I told him the exact street and even described where I lived. And he said, no, I just need to know what town you're in. Do you think you're able, we'll have to get a tow truck out here for it. Okay. Do you think you're able to drive? I said, yes. But you just mentioned the tow truck, and obviously the windshield smashed in pretty good, and I don't know if it's safe to drive. And he says, no. Well, would you like me to take you to here, or would you like to drive? And I says, quite frankly, whatever you think is best, Sheriff, at this point, whatever. And he says, well, how about we take you to the house? And so from the crash site, he was at his house is literally the very next gravel road, and then up, a quarter, half mile back in is his house. So he took me to his house and actually gave me one of his personal vehicles, and he let me take it to go back to Pier. About 2 miles, I approximate about 2 miles down the road, he pulls me over again. And I said, is there something wrong? Is there something else? And he goes, you didn't give me the keys to the car. And so I give him all of my keys. And he says, no, just give me the car key. You can keep the rest. So then I worked with it to take it off of the keychain, and then it's one of those where it's black, and it's got the key, so it's more of a thick key kind of thing. It's got a remote control on it and everything. So I fumbled with that a little bit, I'll admit, and then I gave him that, and he said, you're free to go again. Continue. I don't know if I was right there, or I did see the white pickup in the ditch at the time, but I didn't put two and two together yet. I saw a white pickup that looked damaged in the ditch. But I continued home, and I did call my chief of staff, who is Tim Borman, and I called the director of DCI, who is Dave Natvig, and just said that I was in an accident, and I believed it was a deer, and I sent them a copy of the photo, and then they suggested I call Volick back and say, can I bring the vehicle back? What arrangements do I need? And then Tim would come back with me the next day to take the vehicle back to him. And I got home safely, no incidents from there. 11:45, midnight, somewhere in there, approximately. Get up the next morning. The arrangement I'd made with Tim was he was going to be at my house at 8 o'clock with his vehicle, and he would follow me to Highmore. And I told him, well, I wanted to gas up the vehicle in Highmore, and I thought that was the right thing to do. The guy loaned me his vehicle. I'm going to fill it up at least. And then I said, I talked with Tim of we need to look, I never looked on the other side of the road when I looked. I looked on the right north side, but I never looked on the left south side. We should probably look there and look at the, I want to see what this deer, if it made it or what happened. So we fill up with gas and we go back and we park on the north side of the road where my debris is still sitting there. And, oh, by the way, probably some things assume, but the car is gone, of course. My car is gone. The tow truck had come sometime in the middle of the night with the sheriff, and that was not there anymore. So this is approximately 9:30 in the morning that we're at the site. I said, well, Tim, you go right from there was a chunk of my fender or quarter panel there right on the top, on the shoulder.
Mm-hmm. On the north side?
On the north side,
okay.
On the shoulder, not down in the grass, up on the shoulder. And then you go left, or you go right and I'll go left. And I initially thought I saw it, and it looked like a fawn or a deer in the ditch. So I said, I think I see something, but then I come up, and it was the man. And he is not in good, he's dead. And so I, quite frankly, stammered, Tim, something to that effect, and trying to just get his attention to have him come up. And, and I kind of, you run towards him a little bit, and Tim, you need to come see this. And I don't think I told him what I found. You need to come here and see it. And then he saw it. And I said to him next, well, we need to go find the sheriff again. And I know he's right up the road here. And Tim says, well, I will follow you. We'll take the vehicle back and we'll go find the sheriff. So I found the body and I said that we should go find the sheriff. We went to the sheriff's house. He come out to greet us and he said, good morning. And I said, I'll say morning, but you need to come see this. And I found a body. And he said, you're shitting me, or no shit, something to that effect. And I said, I am not, I need you to come see this. And we left his vehicle that he loaned us there, and I gave him the key back. I jump in with Tim, and we go back to the site. And at the site, I show the sheriff what I'd found. And the sheriff asked me how I was. And I says, well, obviously, I'm even more shook up now. And he told Tim to look after me, and look after me, take care of me, and then he would be contacting DCI, our equivalent, and then go from there. And then we basically got in the vehicle and came back to Pier. And then at some point in the morning, the Highway Patrol asked if I would do a blood draw, and I did do that yesterday, voluntarily. I'll let you ask questions from there.
Right.
That's the bulk of the story, I guess.
So after you struck this person, and you got out and you looked and didn't see anything, and did you call anyone before you went and talked to or before the sheriff came? Did you call anyone besides the 911?
No.
Okay. How about after the sheriff gave you the car, you called Tim, right?
I called Tim.
And
I called Dave.
Anybody else?
And my father.
Okay. Called your dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the sheriff, I called the sheriff back. I think I told you that, but I called the sheriff on the way home. I called the sheriff back and said, I'd like to bring the vehicle back.
Right.
In the morning.
Okay.
Right away.
Okay.
And he said, whenever.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you. And I said, well, I'll bring it back right away in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What cell phone did you make these calls on? Do you remember? Do you usually carry both cells with you?
Yes.
Okay.
I do that for multiple reasons. mean, if it is truly a political call, I do try to only be on the one phone.
Uh-huh.
You know, and obviously lots of them are work related. I only be on that phone if I can.
Uh-huh.
And then just that I am the Attorney General availability. If they can't get me on one, they do try me on the other one.
Right.
Obviously, I am, you know, try to be as present as I can be for
right.
savvy situations like this.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. When you got home that night then, did you call anybody else?
I only talked, I mean, I think I only talked to those 3 people.
Okay.
I don't know if when I got home, I mean,
okay.
you know, I don't, if I called them when I got home or not, I mean, I think I might have talked to, you know, Tim or Dave when I made it to the house. You know, just coordinating the next day, you know, telling, you know, that I, you know, hit something and, you know, I didn't know where my car was going. You know, I never got from the sheriff where it was being towed to and what, you know, where that would be at. Chief Jones, who you met in the hall, is, you know, had told me the next day that the Pierre PD had towed it and were putting it inside, basically, to secure it.
Okay.
So, and then I called my insurance company on Sunday to report it. I guess.
Right. Okay. All right. And you had said you hadn't had anything to drink.
Absolutely zero. I have one regular Coca-Cola.
Okay.
And I'm not on any medication.
Okay.
I was set to have teeth taken out actually this week, and I was supposed to take antibiotics yesterday, but I didn't do it.
Yeah.
So, because of this.
Do you normally wear glasses or anything like when you're driving?
No.
Okay. Any like cheaters or anything?
No.
Okay. We found a pair of broken glasses in your vehicle, but they weren't sunglasses. They almost looked like cheaters of some sort. They were like a black framed glass. Part of them was laying on the front passenger floorboard, and part of them were laying in the back seat, broken half. Do you know? I wish I had a picture of them.
Yeah, if you had a picture of them, I could, yeah.
Right. I don't have a picture with me.
Yeah, they're just the standard black frames.
Yeah, standard black plastic frames.
I'm speculating without looking at them, but I'm in the military, and we have sunglasses and different things that I have through, you know, I don't know if that's that style or not.
Yeah.
And it very well could be.
Right.
Because
they're clear lenses.
And or sunglasses I have, obviously, just as a regular
person. And I found
person.
some sunglasses in there.
Right.
So those glasses were kind of just
in the car somewhere. Yeah, I've got multiple pairs of sunglasses. I lose them.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Yeah. Yep. And like I said, these weren't sunglasses. They were actually kind of looked like they weren't real great quality. I mean, the frames were snapping out, but the lenses were intact, but the lenses had fallen out of the frames of them and were laying there, and they kind of were just somewhat out of place as when you don't know what you're looking at. So we were wondering if those were yours or somebody else's. I wish I had a picture of them. That would clear that right up.
I'd be happy to look at it.
Okay, right.
Yeah. Send me a picture, or show me a picture, or show me the glasses, or whatever.
Right. Okay. So, speed-wise, you usually try to stay around the speed limit? I mean, are you...
Yes. I mean, I don't...
Okay.
You know, I went through town. I went through a town. I know I slowed down coming into the town, and then I saw that 65 sign. So I'm looking off to the right. You know, I saw those two signs, and then I believe I started to speed up. You know, to meet that from the town speed to the highway speed.
Right.
But I don't know exactly what I was doing.
Right.
I'm sure you'll tell me.
Right. Well, and
we don't.
Yeah, I don't know either.
We're still in a preliminary thing, so we're still working on this. We wanted, in all fairness, to give you a chance to tell us what you know about it. And we're gonna.
Right. And the reason I was asking about the speed was more to because we all know people that, well, if the speed limit said 65, they were probably going 85, and then there's other people that are, well,
I guess
65,
I
was going 70 at the most.
Yeah, I mean, I go, if at the most, 4 over.
Okay.
So like if you're on the interstate, we have interstates of 80, I at most go 84. That's the most. I mean, a lot of times I just go 80 or 81, or right there,
right,
or 75, depending. I always say we got to have more highway patrol because we got Illinois plates going past us like, stand still.
You must travel quite a bit because it cover the whole state. So
correct.
I assume that you put a fair amount of miles on.
Yes. We've seen not as many this year with COVID as past years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Do you always use your personal card, or?
Well, it depends on the event.
Sure.
Obviously, if I'm going to purely a work event, I'll take a state vehicle.
What do they give you to drive?
So I have 2 different vehicles that I drive for the state.
Okay.
One is a Suburban, Chevy Suburban, and I believe the other one's a Chevy Malibu. I've only recently used that one, and not very much. It's kind of somebody is using the Suburban. It hauls stuff around for like my consumer protection department and stuff, and had the fares, and I had to use the car a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the 2 state vehicles that I have access to or use, I guess.
Okay. But so since this was more political event,
I thought this was a purely down and back, all political event, I used my personal car.
Okay. All right.
Have you ever been stopped for speeding or anything like that you can?
Well, yes, and I see the media's already got my.
Well, I'm sure they do.
So yeah, I've been stopped for speeding, got warnings, got tickets through the years. Yes.
Oh, okay. Any really excessive ones, Jason?
No, I wouldn't say excessive. If at most 5 or 10.
Not like
the
25
most.
over or something like that.
I actually grew up in Iowa, and the rule there is if you're over 15, they can take your license on the spot. So I've never gone that fast, and I never really have a need to go that fast. I plan out how much and everything I need to go, and
sure. So when you were at this event, did you have both your phones with then too, so that
yes,
everybody that you're familiar, the workers, I'm assuming it's like the agencies can get a hold of you on that phone, and then would you call your dad on the other phone, or it might blend together?
Right. So one is AT&T and one is Verizon, so that's the other thing.
Sure.
So there's just dead spots with both in the state, and sometimes they do blend, but it's because I can't get you on the other phone, or I'm talking to Director Natvig and it drops and I can't get him back on that phone. I will use the other phone.
Sure.
To
right.
Continue the conversation.
Okay. So I'm assuming you're like most, you carry them with you all the time, kind of thing. And
yeah.
So would you consent to us looking at your phone?
Absolutely.
And can we do, what we'd actually do is a download on.
Okay.
And what it does is it puts it, it would download the data on there.
Right.
And,
I would ask that one question. How long does that take? I am still the Attorney General.
Yes, and I knew that was going to be a concern.
Right. So I've been answering lots of, not just about this situation, business still goes on, and I've been answering questions and dealing with things. Yes.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And I'm very happy to comply. I just want to...
I think what we'd like to do is if we could take one and start that and do that.
Okay.
And then do the other one.
Okay.
But like always, we'd have to have you sign a consent.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm
fully complying with that.
Yeah. So.
The other question we had was about doing the test skid.
Yeah.
They explained that to him a little bit more.
Would you be willing to let us take the car back out there and kind of go down the road at the same time, or the same area, and do a test skid?
Okay, I don't know what that last word was. Test skid.
Skid?
Skid. Okay.
So did your car skid at all when you?
As the best that I recollect, I'm driving along in the drive lane and wham, and then I react and I might have hit the brake then. I did, work myself to the shoulder then.
Sure.
I don't know if I slammed on the brakes.
Sure.
It was more the jolt of it, than trying to just control the car to get off the shoulder.
Sure.
But yes,
so
I would consent. Yes.
That's something that we want to just, we want to double.
Yep.
Quite honestly, we're not leaving anything unturned.
I understand that.
And yeah.
And I guess I don't want you to,
Right.
I want you to explore this as much.
You want to be as transparent as,
absolutely possible.
You're in a tough spot.
I'm in an extremely tough spot.
And it's like, we get it.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to.
But I believe I did not do anything wrong, and I obviously replayed it in my mind about 1,000 times, and what would I have done different? But I never saw now him, I've learned, or anything. I hit it.
Yeah.
And then tried to react appropriately from there.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't sleep good at night and everything else, so it's like, yeah, it's a tough situation, and we get it. We understand it. We're trying to be.
So the bottom line answer is yes. I consent you to take out, and you can do whatever you need to do to the car. I'll look at the glasses or whatever it needs to be looked
you're right.
at. Yep.
And actually, I might, if I could take one of them and get them started on it.
All right.
That way, we could. But we better do that first.
Okay. So
I think I'll do a separate form for each phone as we go.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're kind of doing it
separate.
Yeah.
Kind of separate.
Understand. Yep.
So, which phone do you want to go with?
This. I'll give you this one first. This is my personal campaign phone.
Okay. And what kind of phone is that?
Droid is
okay.
As best as I understand.
All right. You mind if I look at it?
Absolutely. So that one has no.
Do you want to put it in airplane mode for me?
Okay.
And then, is it got a passcode?
It does not have a passcode.
Okay.
Airplane mode. Okay, so to show you.
All right.
Yeah. So at the top here, you just swipe. Well, that's all my messages. Okay. Here, you come here, and then you further go down here.
Okay.
And then airplane mode's up here in the corner. Airplane mode, turn.
All right. That's just what our guys like.
Absolutely, yep.
And we actually we brought two of our computer forensic guys out here with us, so they're here too, and they can take this and go with it right away. So.
Yep. So this is the 60. I don't know if you can give me the number again.
Yeah. Let me. All right. I just wanna. I don't know. I'm not so good with all this stuff. All right. So this is. I'm just trying to figure out the make and model of this phone.
Okay. Well, that's just where I put my business cards. I mean, it's just a way to.
So let's see.
A 5G. Well, if you shut it off and turn it on, it'll tell you.
Okay.
I mean, I learned that. I'm doing it myself here. So you shut it off on the right side here. You just hold it. Power off, and then we're going to turn it. Well, we'll turn it off and we'll turn it right back on. But it'll show you the name of the 5G whatever. Okay. So then again, you press it to start it up again here.
Yeah, I don't think it's all the way done.
Okay, there it is.
Now it's going.
LG Stylo 5B.
Okay.
5 plus, yes, 5 plus.
Powered by Android. They'll get the serial number off of it when they hook it up.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was a Samsung or LG or what it was.
So this one's AT&T.
That's an AT&T. So we get it powered up. You said it doesn't have a passcode. Is it just a swipe?
Yeah, so I'll show you. Yeah. Good. Okay, so it comes up. Swipe to unlock. I guess when you just take a second.
It's not ready to be swiped.
Yes, slow down. Okay.
So that's all you have to do.
Yep.
Okay. I will go get them started on it right away so we could
all right.
exchange it out. And
so here's what I got is it's just the consent to search your name, We're at the Pierre Police Department. I, Jason Ravnsborg, I got that right, didn't I?
You got it right. Good job.
Knowing that I may refuse to consent to such a search, hereby authorize the following officers or agents. I just put NDBCI special agents because I don't know which ones.
Absolutely.
And the special agents with BCI to search the LG Stylo 5 Plus. What was the phone number for that?
I came from Yankton before.
Okay.
Yep.
Search for LG Stylo 5 Plus with phone number that.
Yep.
So this written permission is being given by me to the above named officers and or agents voluntarily and without threats or promises of any kind. So what I need you to do is sign it right there. And at any time, with either of these phones, you have mine and I'll take care of that.
Okay.
You have mine and Arnie's phone numbers.
Yep.
If you call us and tell us stop searching, we will terminate that search immediately.
Understood.
I'm gonna take a copy of that with
Okay.
them, so they know what number that they're dealing with and such.
Arnie, I'll have you sign there too as a witness.
I know you guys aren't the techie guys, but do you know approximately how long that takes? Or?
Depends on how much stuff is in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I'll give you this one for that.
Right.
We're gonna do a lot of
With photos and everything else.
Right. Yeah, and it can be something that I can call you when we're done with it, and then we can just do a swap.
Yes.
Because I'm sure you got things to do too.
I do.
So
But for example, like that is the photo I'm willing to give you.
okay.
That's the photo I took at night.
Uh-huh.
The night it happened.
Right.
How do I
Okay.
get that? Or just when you take the phone, you'll get that?
They'll get that. They'll
Okay,
take it.
so I'm just telling you.
Yep. Okay.
And you'll see, and I guess I would show you that that's me speaking that night,
Okay.
and then obviously various legislators. These are both legislators. He's the Public Utility Commissioner. That's the chairman of the party. That's Senator Rounds. You know, and people that I was seen with, you know, at the event. You know.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can
Great.
call them people that I was at the event with, and
Okay. And you said you had a list.
I have a list. Yeah.
Okay,
Is there
and
an
then-
email or? Can I,
Yeah,
can
it's,
I send it to your email.
Yep. Just send it
I
by
will
email
forward
right
you
there.
the list of
Yep.
people, and I also have the waitress's name. Like I
Okay.
said,
Yeah.
so
If you could send me.
I don't have any contact information, but she's at that restaurant.
Right,
You
yeah.
can easily find her if
Yep,
you need
it should
to.
be easy to find her. So if we end up deciding we want to just speak with Tim, since he had went out there with,
Yes.
is he?
Yes,
he
he fully
can make
cooperates also.
himself available to
Yep.
us. Do you have his
So,
contact
yeah, let's
info?
give it to you here. I gotta look it up.
It's Tim Borman.
Yeah, BORMANN.
Okay.
He's my chief of staff.
Okay.
I'll give you his official title and everything.
Okay.
And his phone number is now Dad is low tech.
Right.
That's a landline home phone.
Okay.
So it'd be, I call him at 10:15 every night, or
Right.
or this night I called him a little ahead of time.
Uh-huh.
And that he works at a manufacturing company and he's a farmer,
Right.
so he works until dark and then he comes in.
Comes
so
in.
I mean, I can either help you arrange it, but I would,
Okay.
or
Where do you live at?
Quimby, Iowa.
Quimby. Okay.
QUIMBY. It is approximately 100 miles from Yankton
Okay.
into Iowa. I mean, 100 total
So 100 miles east.
of Yankton-ish.
Okay.
And, I mean, I can arrange a time, but I mean, I would,
Okay.
otherwise I would suggest you call him if you want to talk with him at 9 o'clock or later
Okay.
in the evening.
Right. Okay.
You know,
That'll work.
and
Yeah.
He will
Right.
be in from the house, in from chores and outside activities and talk
Okay.
to you.
Do you know his address? All right. So yeah, I think for the reconstruction part, they wanted, which is not in my wheelhouse at all. We don't do that sort of, that's trooper stuff. They want to do some sort of skid. That's why I said, well, here, he can explain it because they talked to him about it. I don't know if they'll do that today or not. We processed the vehicle today. They had obtained a search warrant to do it. Processed it. Just took any little bit of evidence that could have found. Other than that, I'm guessing the car will stay in the custody of law enforcement until this is all resolved, and we know how something like this can go. And
when can I get personal possessions back? I mean,
what are you looking to get out of it? Okay,
I mean, just want to make sure
that if there is something in there you need.
I mean, there's.
Okay. Let me talk to them. We'll see what we can arrange.
It's pretty clean, and I mean, I know there's stuff in the trunk like an emergency kit and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing's pressing, I guess. Right. I grabbed my chargers for my cell phone, and that's about it. And you didn't even grab much out of there.
Yeah.
I think the remote control to your garage door to get in the house.
Right. I'm going to call Arnie and see if he can snap a photo of those eyeglasses.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
If he can just text it to me, and then I can show you that right away. And it was just kind of the one thing in there that was a little out of place, and it wasn't even terribly out of place either. I had a little cold. I don't have a cold.
Good. That'd be the kicker.
Yeah. I wouldn't be in here with you if I did. Hey, that pair of broken eyeglasses that we took out of the car, would you be able to snap a photo of those for me, and then just text it to me? Okay, thank you. Bye. Probably better to have that guy do it anyways, because he was helping with that. So, do you have any questions of us at this point?
Not really.
Yeah, just kind of one of those.
I know how it goes.
Yeah, it's a process right now, and
these are the reports that come in.
Yeah. So, Rossi's gonna snap a photo of those eyeglasses. Text it to me. So.
Okay, good. Good, and then we can figure out what those are.
Yeah. He's also wondering about getting some personal items out of that vehicle.
I don't see why we couldn't.
I didn't see why we couldn't either.
Nothing's pressing, as I told him.
Yeah.
Well, I know you have a tie, or your red tie that you're wearing. I do. When I saw your photo, I'm like, oh, well, there's the red tie he was wearing.
Well, typically, I take off. I get to the car and I do take off the tie.
I don't blame you.
And what kind of stuff is it? Is it?
Well, I mean, there's some CDs and such.
Oh, okay.
We could get some CD books or something in there.
Right.
Yeah.
I listen to those sometimes, but I was not listening to those when this happened. The ones, quite frankly, were boring. I didn't like them, so I started it on the way over, and they just weren't interesting to me, so I didn't continue with those.
Sure.
And then in the back, in the trunk, as I told him, there's like an emergency kit and different things that are standard and stuff. I mean, nothing. There's some campaign stuff in the back seat, I think. Just
we'll make sure we get all that stuff. And they're still doing some stuff with it. So once we're done with doing that kind of stuff, we'll get you whatever you need.
Right. Do you remember what you were listening to? Is that I
thought I had turned the radio off.
Okay.
Actually, but I don't know that 100%. So I just Those are not like what I would think, what I thought with the military. But,
Right. No, that's right. You're saying I was like, I don't think
they're
that would
thicker, you know.
be right.
No, I don't recognize that.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Okay.
got it. But,
All right. He said Tim Boardman would also make himself available if we do need him.
Oh, okay.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah, we might as well
right.
You know, he'd run down here right now. I mean, if you want, you
take
to.
care of
Right.
as much stuff as we
Mhm.
we can. They're I took it and they're hooking it up right away.
Okay.
They'll have kind of a better idea if we give them like 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay. Sure.
It'll kind of show them how much data is on there,
Mm-hmm.
and then they can get a rough guess of how long it's going to take. It might be something we need to bring to you and
Right,
then
and switch out.
exchange it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I've had some that take them 20 minutes, and I've had some that have taken them 6 hours.
Yeah.
That's it.
Usually that-
I showed him the photo, I guess on this one, of the car that I took, and then the, that's the photo I took that night. And then if you scroll, you can see pictures from the event. Scroll. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. You know, speaking myself and then there are others, you know, legislators and senator, sure, chairman of the party there. So, but I'm like a lot of people, I keep a lot of them on there and I don't delete them, you know.
Sure.
So that's probably gonna, for them, suck more data because they're more pictures.
Oh, it must be the washer fluid that.
Yep, that was empty in your car. That was the only fluid that we saw that looked like it had probably leaked out.
Okay. Like I said, I didn't see anything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess I would say I've hit a couple different deer through the year campaigning. And,
Mm-hmm. And you're on the road that much, I guess that frequently.
yeah, I mean, I had one on by Wall, South Dakota. He stood right in the middle. It was truly what you'd think a deer in the headlights. You know, I tried to get over and I clipped him, you know, still. But this one I never saw anything.
So when you struck something, you didn't see anything even then, huh?
No,
Okay.
because there's more than
Oh.
a jolt of it all.
How far did you end up going? Do you have, I mean, and I get it, it's, I mean,
Yeah, because
what's your feeling how far you went before you were able to get it to a complete stop?
I guess I would just be approximating because I didn't. I guess I looked,
Yeah, it is- and it
looked
is-
at where that one quarter panel piece that's on the shoulder
Sure.
was, you know, and then I mean it was a little ways from there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean it's hard to approximate.
Yeah, it's not scientific, we're just trying to,
You know, and again the tow truck came and got it and took it, you know, away from before you guys could see the scene. I mean, we didn't know it was a scene at the time, you know, we just thought it was a
yeah,
deer.
and we're just trying to piece together where the car was at the end when they got towed away and stuff like that.
I
So,
mean, I did pull off to the shoulder. I know that.
so it looks like,
And I put my hazards on. Yep.
did you do that after you were stopped?
Yes. So again, that's where it is when it stopped.
Okay.
To answer your question,
Okay.
I had jumped out, called 911, walked backwards towards town to confirm Highmore, scanning the ditch with my light, and came up and took that photo of with the car when it stopped.
Okay.
And then that's when the sheriff came, and I didn't take any more photos. I took one photo, I stopped, because he came, so I thought I should pay attention to him.
Sure.
So that's where it is stopped. So if you can figure out where it stopped from that photo, yeah.
You didn't pull it further over onto the shoulder after that?
No.
So you left it there
And
until
the hazard lights are on, yeah.
Okay. Because it almost looks like like there's a little bit of space between the shoulder Just see, like, it seems like there's some space here. Were you partially in the driving lane when you were stopped?
Oh, I mean, are you saying my the tires?
Part of your car out in the driving lane?
I think so. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
Because it appears from that picture that it probably is.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I think so. I mean, I can't say so, but I think so. And then I just immediately put the flashers on.
Yeah, I mean,
that's when I got. This is where it is when I got it pulled over.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because this looks like it's dirt there.
I know I was on the road, and I mean, like I said, those pieces were on the shoulder, but not in the ditch that I found, especially that big piece. And that's what the next morning, when we came back, that was still there, you know. And so that's where I knew where to approximately to look. I mean, I wouldn't have known exactly without.
Mm-hmm.
Do you maybe have them forward that to you? Your phone?
Yeah, would you mind sending that?
No, I'd send that to you. Yeah.
Just send it to the cell number.
Okay, I'll do this normally from my phone here, just kind of how I attach a photo down here to from this email. Insert photo, okay. Okay. Should be coming through. There we go. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently it's quite it's a 32 gig phone.
Oh, so it's going to take a little while?
Yeah, so I think the thing to do is once we're done here,
Mm-hmm.
we'll just exchange it later on in the
we'll
day.
just reach out
Okay.
to you and
Absolutely. Do you need anything more now?
I don't think so. So
Yes,
we have the
Yep.
number. And you know, we can swing by your office or your residence, whatever, too, if you need be. However, we'll work it out.
Just let me know.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
Absolutely. Cooperate, however.
Okay.
Do we need to do a consent for the car?
For the skid, it probably wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
I'm willing, so.
Yeah. Let's see.
As long as we're here, we might as well
Absolutely. As
do
much
it
as we can
out
do.
front. And
I would
I
we
might have to
don't
borrow
need to disrupt your...
I might need to borrow your consent form. See what I got yet. Yeah, I need to borrow yours.
Yeah, I got it.
Alright.
The highway patrol is the one that's gonna be doing that for us,
Okay.
because
Right. They have
you know that we don't have that kind of stuff.
Right, yeah. Just hate messages, basically. I should die, and
Yeah, I imagine your phone has just been melting.
that's why I said I didn't get back to you. Right? I didn't know when you called. I shut them off yesterday, actually.
Well, that's kind of what we figured, is that your phone had blown up, and
After it was in the media, we knew it was gonna be...
is it South Dakota State Patrol? Is that their agency name? Is it State Patrol or Highway Patrol?
Highway Patrol, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we fully believe between scam calls and every other bizarre call that it's probably going to voicemail and will be sorted out at some point.
So that vehicle's registered to you?
Yes.
Alright, so this one, same thing again.
My name.
I, Jason Ravnsborg, knowing that I may refuse to consent to such a search, hereby authorize the following officers. I did put North Dakota BCI agents and South Dakota Highway Patrol troopers.
Okay.
Again, I don't know which ones. And it's for the 2011 Ford Taurus registered Jason Ravnsborg to perform skid testing. So I need your signature again. Alright.
Should we get that other one all prepped and then just have them sign it when we do the exchange?
I think
Is
so.
that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Do you want to sign this one, Ernie?
Yep.
Again, Jason, on this with the skid testing too, also applies the same way. If you would decide you don't want them to do it, call myself or Arnie and we will have them stop immediately.
I'm not sure how we're gonna get it there, if we're gonna drive it or...
I thought it was operable yet.
I think it
I
is.
think it is.
It's just obviously the windshield
Yep.
situation.
Mhm.
Right.
Yep. Because I do know they weren't able to, the shop that it's in, they had to drive it in there.
Oh, okay.
They,
Yeah, well, and, I mean, there's that one little piece of metal that might need
Yeah.
to be bent out a little bit, but it's,
Right.
we're not gonna do...
Make sure the tire doesn't get popped, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't think anything else right now.
I think that's your card.
That should be it. Yep, you have our
Yeah.
cards. Like I said, I'll just remind you again, on either of the searches, if you change your mind, call one of us immediately and we will
I understand.
stop
All
the
right.
searches.
Thanks,
Okay.
John.
And if we just call
Thank you,
Tim
sir.
Gorman,
Call Tim. He'll come comply as soon as he can.
okay,
Obviously, he's dealing with the media storm.
yeah, yep,
Do we have Tim's?
I do have
the number.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, I appreciate your time.
That's awesome.
Speaking of COVID, since I seen you last, my chief of staff's daughter got it.
Oh, no.
So my chief of staff, Tim, that you talked to, is at home. And then Dave, the director, got it confirmed yesterday.
Oh,
He's
my.
home. So like today, we had our DCI annual meeting actually over virtual instead of bringing everybody in. So.
Yeah, we had to cancel ours too. It was kind of a crazy deal, but not much you can do. I mean, it's just too sketchy there. Too risky, really.
Yeah. So how's Dave doing? Is he feeling the symptoms of it, or?
Yes. So they tested him, and then he didn't. They had to cancel the test or something, and then they had to test him again, and then he said he had like every symptom that they could have, or 40 out of the 43 here.
Yuck. Because you're hearing about half the people don't have any symptoms.
Well, then I don't know when you guys in relation to they closed the schools here.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. So
okay.
The high school, here and Fort Pierre both.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, we're still in like a hybrid system where like A through K go Monday and Wednesday and Friday, and then the next week go Tuesday, Thursday, and the other half go. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of waiting for it though, because our numbers in at least Burley and Morton are, I think today we had 85 in Burley and I think 45 in Morton. And, Burley, Morton, got Mandan and Bismarck. It's kind of like Fort Pierre and Pierre.
Okay.
The river is the only thing that separates the two.
I guess I'm not as good with North Dakota geography. So where is Burley and Morton then?
Burley is Bismarck, so that's kind of central, and then you have the Missouri River that comes up.
Okay.
And so on the east side of the Missouri is Burley, on the west side is Morton.
Okay.
And so if you don't know the area, you wouldn't know if you're in Burley, Morton, Bismarck, or Mandan.
Right.
It all just is one.
Blends together.
It blends together.
Learned a little bit. I'm in the Army Reserves. I think I told you last time, but my mission is actually to build a unit at Air and Bismarck.
Okay.
And they got a reserve center right by the airport.
Mm-hmm.
I went up, did site visits, talked to people, and then COVID hit, and everything's been on hold.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing virtual since. I think my unit's out of Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. I think.
Okay.
You just don't want people crossing state lines.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what we want to do is we want to go over everything again with you. As we've gathered more information.
Yep.
When we spoke with you, that was
early.
Yeah, you were really about the first person we spoke with. So we've just gathered some more information since then. So we want to kind of figure all that out. And again, no criminal charges have been filed against you. You're free to go at any time you want to. If you want to stop talking, you're free to leave. You can just get up and walk out. If you don't want to answer any of our questions, you just let us know that. This is a completely voluntary interview. So, all right.
You've been really cooperative.
I've tried to do everything and think of everything I can think of to, and I thought of a couple things, I guess.
Okay.
So as we go through it.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. So we're just going to kind of recap some of what happened leading up to it.
Okay.
So on the 12th, you went to the Lincoln Day dinner, Spink County Lincoln Day dinner in Redfield, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That day, or like on the 11th, leading up to the 12th, what kind of sleep did you get? Do you remember?
I actually got a lot of sleep.
Okay.
Because some media reports where I went from Pierre to Rapid, that actually was not my schedule. I was actually coming from Louisiana. We'd been down there for an event with the Attorney General of Louisiana, and I flew into Rapid City and went to an event there, a Lincoln Day dinner in Pennington County. That's the Rapid City's town, the county, to familiarize you.
And what day was that you flew into Rapid?
11th.
Okay.
So the night before Friday. And I went to the event, and I got home about 1:15 in the morning. But I slept in till 9:30, 10:30 in the morning. I had an event that I've been invited to in Sisseton, South Dakota, and I just told them, I can't make it. It's too much to do that. Go all the way to Sisseton, which is in our northeast corner. I'm familiar with South Dakota geography, so I'm oversimplifying maybe, but it's in the northeast corner. that would have taken 4 hours from Pier at least, you know, and the event was at noon, so that means that I had to leave at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I just couldn't do that. So my day was 9:30, 10:30, I remember I got up, I slept in, and then I was around my office and the house until about 3 o'clock when I left to go to Redfield. So I think I had very adequate sleep. I didn't do anything vigorous, you know, I didn't bale hay as I used to do as a kid, you know, or something strenuous. So
how much sleep do you normally get on average in a day?
On a normal day, you know, 7, 8 hours. I mean, 6, 7, 8 hours, you know, depending on the day, you know. But
what time do you normally get up in the morning then?
7-ish, you know. I'm usually at the office by 8-ish, you know. You know, it depends on my day and schedule. Obviously, my schedule changes dramatically, you know, and the map's out and such, and depending on where you got to go. But I would say that is a normal day, and then I leave, you know, I try to stay till 5-ish, you know, at least, and then obviously depending on what work we've got and such, you know, and obviously things are a little different now with COVID, you know, we're not always in the office every day, a standard 8-hour day, because I don't want myself and my chief deputy and my chief of staff, as I mentioned, all to be down at the same time.
Right.
You know, somebody's got to run the show, and so we've staggered, you know, we've got staggered schedules a little bit.
Because who's your chief deputy?
Chief deputy, his name is Charlie McGuigan, and I can spell all that if you need me to.
Yeah, you'll need.
Yep, Charlie is traditional, and then McGuigan, Guigan.
Okay.
And Charlie has been the chief deputy for myself and Marty Jackley, my predecessor, and actually the end of Larry Long, his predecessor. So he's been chief deputy 10, 12 years, and he's been in the office about 25 years.
Oh, okay.
So he knows how the office and state government works.
Right. Okay. So then
I can get you his contact if you ever want to talk to him or anything.
Okay. So then that day you went to the Lincoln Day dinner in Redfield. Again, you had said that you didn't have anything to drink that night?
I absolutely had 0 alcohol to drink. I had a Coca-Cola. I had a steak. I don't know what kind of steak, but I had steak, and I had a baked potato. I remember. That's the 3 things I remember eating. And that's why I tried to give you the waitress's name, and then I got the list of the people that were there and such, and try to verify that. But
and then what time did you leave the dinner?
9:15.
9:15
p.m. obviously.
Yep. Okay. And again, what roads did you take to come back?
I didn't look them up since you were here, but I can describe it yet. Again, I left out of Redfield going west until you get to what I call the Miller Corner. There's a T intersection that if you kept going straight, you'd go towards Faulkton is the town, and if you come to this corner and you go south, and you're going to go south to Miller, South Dakota, which is in Han County, and then from Miller, that's 14, which is all the way here to Pier, and beyond, but for these purposes, it's from Miller to here. So I made an S, basically, or a...
Once you left the event, did you stop anywhere else along the way?
No, I believe so. No. No.
Okay. Do you remember what you were were you listening to the radio, or what were you?
So when I left Redfield, you kind of had to snake through town because where this restaurant is. And then when I got out of town, I remember on that first leg, the Miller or the Redfield to the corner, I'd called my father. So I did not have I have Sirius radio. So I turned down the volume, but I still had it on because the Lakers were playing. I remember the Lakers were playing Houston, and you can watch the score when that happens, you know, when it's on. And I talked to my father, and I turned the corner, the Miller corner, I turned and talked to him, and then there's a dead zone there, and it dropped. And then when you got closer to Miller somewhere, I called him back, and all it was a, I didn't hang up on you call. You know, it dropped. And,
so you talked to him too about the Miller corner? Is that about?
Well, I mean,
so you left
piece of paper, you know, or something. I can just show you the paper. I went to the corner. I turned the corner, and it dropped somewhere there, dead spot. And then as I got close to Miller, I tried again, and that's when I got him back. And I said, you know, I didn't hang up on you, Dad. It dropped for some reason.
Right.
And like I said, that was not a long call. I mean, we kind of talked about what we were going to talk about, and then that was it.
Right. So that second call was just basically that end the
first call, really. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I just
gotcha.
You don't be rude to people. You just you know, call you back that I didn't hang up on you.
Right. Okay. All right. So then, after you got off the phone with your dad the second time,
I didn't call anybody. Until after the crash. Well, I mean, until the 911 call, I guess.
Okay.
I mean,
so when you were driving, were you listening back to the game, or?
No, the game got over. I remember the game got over, and then, you know, the Twins also got over.
Okay.
You know, and I remember shutting off the radio at some point, but I think that's closer to Highmore.
Okay. Did you listen to the end of the games, or were they already done when you got?
Somewhere I don't know where, the Twins, the last out. I mean, I remember hearing the last out, but I don't know exactly where that was. And I think the Laker game was already over. The Twins was later than the basketball.
Okay. All right. So once the baseball game was over, what did you do with the radio?
I think it was still on.
Okay.
But not, you know, I think I shut it off when I got closer to.
Okay.
When I got, you know, around Highmore.
Okay. Why'd you shut it off?
Well, well, we have to fast forward then a little bit.
Okay. Oh, we can go back.
Yep. So
walk me through it.
So again, I turned the Miller corner, the second Miller corner, I guess, the one going now to Highmore, and I'm driving along, and then I get to Highmore, and that's when I look to the right and I look to the left as I was going through town. I was thinking about getting gas. In the one station to the south, or to the left, there was a guy, and I remember his car was pointing back east, and he had his, you know, in the gas pump, and it looked closed though. And I'm like, okay. So I looked at the north station, and there was 3 or 4 high school kids there, and I just looked at that side, and it looked closed too. So I said, well, I'll just keep going. And then around there, that's when I believe I shut the radio off, and you know, I believe that happened, you know, shortly before the accident. My intention at the time was to think about, we've got a couple very big cases going on, and I was going to shut that off and, you know, think about those cases is what I intended to do. You know, quiet time.
Okay. All right. So you remember going through Highmore, though?
Absolutely. I remember looking to the left and the right. And like I told you the first time, I remember looking at the signs, you know, off to the right about the speed zone and the distance to pier. You know, and then like I said, I think, you know, right before that, that's when I turned off the radio. And if you know, I've been thinking about it, you know, I mean, what was I doing exactly? But I think I was looked down at the speedometer, because I traditionally put it on cruise.
Okay.
Not always, but a lot of the times. And I know I never got going very fast because I never locked it into cruise.
Okay.
And
so you used the cruise control, but you know that on this case you hadn't got back into
right. I think I had used it prior to the accident, you know, on the other stretch possibly, but I had not used it, I had not engaged it yet.
Right. Are those roads that you take from Pierre to Redfield, are those all 65 mile per hour zones?
I believe so, except for the towns, of course.
Except for,
and sometimes I don't go that way.
Uh-huh.
You know, if that matters. I mean, you can go another way. You can go to Miller, go out of Miller, and then go up to Redfield.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I didn't do that this time.
Do you have any idea what you would have been setting your cruise at when you were going?
You know, right around 65. You know, 65, 67.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. But didn't have the. Do you
I
remember?
never go more than 4 over, ever, anywhere in the, you know, anymore. I just lock it in.
Okay. How about your high beams? Do you usually use your high beams?
I had used the high beams, but I had not clicked them on yet when I'd leaving Highmore.
Okay.
I'd used high beams from basically to Highmore. I mean, I shut them down when we went through Miller and, of course, in Redfield.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I used my high beams appropriately. I used them on the road, but I did not have them up yet coming out of Highmore.
So getting to Highmore, you would have had them on, turned them off when you got into Highmore
to town, yeah.
and then never turned them back on.
Correct.
Okay. So as you're going through Highmore, what else do you remember besides looking at the gas stations? They look closed, then what?
Just it was a dark night. I mean, that's what I remember. I vividly remember I can see those people, you know, at the gas pump, you know, and such, and around the station and such, but that's it.
Okay.
Nothing else sticks out, I guess.
Okay. And then what do you remember happening next?
Well, I guess when you say next, I mean, it was a hit.
Yep.
And I did not punch the brakes.
Mm-hmm.
My military training, you don't punch. I've always been taught you don't punch the brakes because then you could spin.
Okay.
So I tapped the brakes 3 or 4 times, trying to control the vehicle and shake as you got to the side of the road, and brought it to control as best I could to safely get to the side of the road.
Okay.
I then, obviously, there were some expletives and, like, what the hell happened, and I put it in park, and I do believe now, because quite frankly, Arnie, you made me remember when I showed you the picture, I did put the flashers on, because at first I just sat there for a minute going, what the hell happened? And I hit the flashers, and I got out of the car. And I kind of just shook my head a little bit and looked around, and, and I then dialed 911. And I thought I was at Highmore, but I didn't want to tell the 911 I was at the wrong town.
Right.
So I walked towards town, talking with the 911 person who said, to the best of my recollection, obviously you guys can listen to that, but it said something to the effect of, hello, 911, this is the Attorney General. I am about a mile west of Highmore, I believe. I've hit something in the road, and I believe it was a deer. And the only reason I believe it was a deer, because that's what it's seasoned. I just think I didn't see anything, but I believe that that's what happens, and this time of year. Mm-hmm. And then I said, she goes, who is this? And I said, I need some assistance. I said that somewhere in the call. And she says, who is this? And I think I gave my name, Jason Ravnsborg, versus title. And then I said, yes, I am near Highmore, because I could see the sign. And, that
what sign could you see?
The green town sign, I guess. I don't know what you call them officially.
Right.
So counsel.
I mean, and I had walked back.
How far from where your vehicle stopped to where you walked do you think you walked?
I walked.
Estimate. I know you don't know exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I walked. Well, there's the one piece of my car that I saw on the shoulder right off the road.
Is that larger
piece?
Yep.
I walked past that.
Okay. Westbound past that, right?
No,
eastbound. I'm sorry.
Yep, I'm going east at this point. And then she said something to the effect, the sheriff was the only one on duty and that he would be out soon. And I said that would be fine, or something, okay. And then I hung up and clicked from there over to my camera, or my phone flashlight, and started looking for the deer, which I thought in the ditch at that point. And I walked the whole length back to my car, and then I remember taking a photo, the one I gave you, of the car, and then that's when the sheriff pulled up.
So how close do you think you got to the city sign, or the town sign?
A few steps past that, I don't know, 5 steps maybe past that big chunk.
Okay. So just, you were real close to that chunk.
Right.
Okay.
Because I thought, obviously, the animal would be close to that, with a collision point somewhere in there, and looked around there and then walked back.
But so you walked past the piece of...
I walked past the piece of the vehicle, east towards Highmore. Yes.
Okay. When you were walking past it, did you had your phone flashlight out, you said, or was that after?
That was after the phone call concluded.
Okay. And so when you were walking, were you on 911 at the time when you were walking?
Yes, I was walking and talking at the same time.
Okay. Right.
Walking and talking towards the sign. I would say I had an excited utterance, yes, it is Highmore. I am near Highmore, or some words to that effect. I thought I was at Highmore, but again, I didn't want to say I was at Harold, and then, which is the next town.
Right.
And send the officer to the wrong location.
Right, yep. Okay, so you walk past, you're on the phone, and then when you start coming back, is that when you turn the phone light on?
Yeah, within, I hung up, or she hung up, I don't remember who hung up, and then I turned the light on soon thereafter.
Okay.
I don't know, how soon.
Right. Okay. And then you walked back towards your vehicle?
I walked towards the vehicle, and like I said, I took a picture, and that's when the sheriff pulled up. The sheriff pulls up, and he says, what happened? And I said, well, I think I hit a deer. And so the sheriff looked at, so I'm at the front corner taking that picture, and he walks up beside me, and he's looking at the car also. Okay. And he says something to the effect, well, at least it didn't hit the side window, my passenger side window.
Right.
He saw what other damage was there. Okay. And then he kind of looked the car over, I would say, and then he looked at, and I told him that, that I tried to brake and got it over as best I could, and then he looked at the car, and he looked back at the wreckage, I would say, and such, and then he said, well, grab your license, no, not your license, grab your registration and your insurance and meet me back at the car. So I then walked back to the car, and when I get in the car, well, no, I had to get in my car to get those 2 items.
And where were those items at?
My registration's always above my visor. It has a mirror, so you drop down the mirror, so you always have the registration there. And then the insurance was in the glove compartment, which at this point had been ajar.
Okay.
It had opened up based on the collision. I guess the one thing I remember that I told you at the beginning, I remembered something. My airbags did not deploy. It looked like from photos, and I think that's my car that Kelloland put out there, but we couldn't see it exactly, but it looked like the airbags had deployed then. So they did not deploy from the crash, I guess. Right. And so I guess I haven't seen my car since, so I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I'm just telling you.
Okay.
Go back to the car. He says, he writes down, he takes those 2 items and he writes me out the red ticket, which I gave you a picture of.
Sure did.
And then he said, well, where do you live? Or where are you at? He asked me where I was at. I said, well, I'm in Redfield. I went to a political event and a Republican event over there, and he goes, well, you're not running this year, are you, already? And I says, no, but you're Attorney General, you're always running. You're always, out seeing the people, and I think that's what you got to do.
Your extra pen, please.
Sure.
I went dead.
Oh,
sorry.
And, get out and find out what their concerns are and talk with them, and that's what you should do as a elected person. And he said something to the effect that, he loved his job, but he doesn't like the politics of it. And okay, I didn't really say much to that, I guess. And then he said, well, where do you live? Well, I started describing exactly where I lived. I think he meant, from what he said later, that he just wanted to know what town I lived in. But I was telling him exactly where I lived in town. I'm a little shook up. And he goes to the effect of, well, I can either take you there, or you can drive, but it'll be an hour for a tow truck. We talked about a tow truck, and I said, so I was confused. I says, well, we just talked about a tow truck, but you said I could drive. I do think the car is drivable. I mean, the motor runs and and everything, but is it safe to drive? I was just this was cloudy of my why is, and he says, no, you can I'll take you to my house and I'll give you my car and you can drive, or I can take you back. Well, somebody's offering me their car, or he's going to take his time to take me home. I quite frankly threw it back on him and I says, whatever works for you, Sheriff, or words to that effect. And he said, well, we'll take you to the house then, and we'll get you the car.
But you didn't think that the car wasn't drivable?
I thought the car, motor-wise, could drive, but I didn't know how safe it was with the windshield action.
Right. Okay.
I didn't test it out, obviously. I got it to the side the best I could. But I guess I was deferring to the sheriff at that point.
Okay.
And he then takes me to his house.
Real quick before we get to that. So, the sheriff, you looked at the damage to the vehicle. Did the sheriff, while you were present, did he look at all that for anything that you would have hit?
Well, I know he looked at the car itself, and I know he looked at the wreckage, and I believe he was looking in the ditch.
Okay.
I didn't watch him exactly go back to his car, but I was, finding the registration, the insurance, looking around, and I looked back at him, and I thought I'd seen him once, glance in the ditch and such. But
right by where the cars were, though.
The cars were.
He didn't. Well, did you see him walk down the highway at all, like looking at the ditch?
Neither one of us ever went east of the crash, where the car stopped.
Okay.
We never went east of it. I mean, I took the picture, and that's when I stopped and kind of deferred to him.
So the only time you had walked east was to find out if you were by Highmore.
Oh, sorry, I said it backwards now.
Yep.
I didn't walk west of the car further.
Okay.
I didn't walk any farther west, and I'd come to the front of the car and taken that picture. I did not walk west of the car. I only walked east prior to the sheriff arriving, as I earlier described. And then when I obviously walked back to the sheriff's car, I did look again in the ditch as I walked back to his car with my, I looked out there. I don't think I used my phone. But when I was just looking out when I walked back to the car, and
so in relation to your car, so your car was facing west, the sheriff pulled up. Did he pull up behind you?
Yes, he pulled up behind me.
Okay.
Yes.
Did he come from the east, or did he come and then turn around, or how did that work? You know what I mean?
I don't know
how he ended up behind.
I mean, I can only speculate.
Okay.
He
No,
lives,
that's fine.
He lives a quarter mile from the crash site, right west of it. But I didn't. Yeah, he parked behind me, so I don't know where he came from. I guess he just appeared, and I showed him the vehicle. Showed him the front and everything.
Do you remember? Did the sheriff have, like, when he was looking around? Did he have a flashlight or anything? Do you remember at all, even?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not. Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, that's fine. And any questions I ask, if you don't remember, just say you don't remember. That's best.
I don't want to speculate. I want to tell you the facts.
When you were looking around or walking to find out where you were at, anything, did you move any of the debris?
No.
Okay. Didn't touch any debris?
Didn't.
Okay. Did you happen to see if the sheriff, when he was out there, moved any debris?
I did not.
You didn't see him?
What he did.
Okay.
And then obviously I thought of later, obviously the tow truck came and got my car, but that was after I left the scene. So somebody moved the car and the tow truck and the sheriff, because as I started to say, I was at the house with him. He backs his car out. I take it, I leave, and he pulled me over again. And I says, "Is there a problem, Sheriff? What else can I do for you?" And he says, "You didn't give me the key to the car." So I give him all my keys, and then he gave them back and says, "No, just give me the drive key." And so it came out of his lane, and I went west at that point, and I gave him the key back.
Okay.
So he had to obviously, I assume, went back to the crash site when the tow truck driver came, because he's the one I gave the key to.
Right. Okay. And then you headed back to Pier.
I headed back to Pier. I called, as I said before, I called my father, Tim and Dave, and the sheriff. And I just coordinating. I guess I regularly tell Tim and Dave where I'm at.
Okay.
As Attorney General, if I'm traveling, especially by myself, where I'm at. Those two know where I'm at.
Right.
And so I told them that I believe I hit a deer and had an accident, and I asked Tim if he would help me the next day take that car back to the sheriff, and he said yes. And then I called the sheriff and said I had driven to Pier and I didn't see a tow truck pass me anywhere. Had it come yet? No. And when can I bring your car back? And he said, anytime, bring it back in the morning, whatever works for you.
Okay.
And that's what we did.
Okay, so the call to the sheriff was just to set up
the return of his vehicle. I mean, I'm borrowing somebody else's property, and I think I should get it back to him.
Did the sheriff say anything about the accident or anything? You're asking no questions?
Nope. He said that the tow truck driver hadn't been there yet, and bring it back whenever worked for me in the morning.
Okay. All right. So then you go back the next morning, correct?
Okay, so Tim meets me at my house approximately 8 o'clock, and I said, follow me, and, we did see 3 deer the next day going east back to Highmore. We saw 3 in the daylight, and we slowed down because of those, and then I said I wanted to go to Highmore and fill it up with gas, because I thought that was only the right thing to do again, that somebody loaned me their vehicle to give it back to them full. And so we filled it up, and as we drove by, some of the wreckage was still there on the road.
Did it look like it was in the same place that it was?
I don't know about that. Yeah, if it moved or not.
Right.
I mean, it's, obviously 10, 12 hours have passed.
Right, and I get from darkness to daylight. I get it.
Right, yep. I don't know if it moved or not, but it was still there, and I thought it could be a problem for another traveler. And I had thought along the way, I didn't look on the south side of the ditch. And so I told Tim, well, let's park on the north side, look there, and then let's look on the south side, because maybe the deer glanced off and went to the other side of the road. I did not check that the night before on the south side. Well, then we pull up to the site area, and again, I never saw, my car is gone at that point, so I don't know where my car is in relation to the body when I found it. So I went west, and Tim went east, And then I found the body, and I just came to Tim and said, Tim, you gotta come here. I found a body. So Tim came up and looked at it, and then I said, well, now it's daylight. I can see the sheriff's house. And I said, we gotta go get the sheriff immediately. And he agreed, and we did leave the site without calling 911, but my thought process is this is the quickest way I can get the sheriff, is to go to his house. He's right there. And so he walks out and says, good morning. And I said, I don't know. I said, Sheriff, I found a body. And his response was, you're shitting me. So, and I obviously thought that was genuine, that he was surprised that that was the case. And I said, you need to come with us. Here's your keys back. I handed him his keys to his car, and we just left it where I drove into the property at. And I got in with Tim, and the sheriff followed us back to the site. The sheriff said, to the effect of, first we got out, and then we showed him where it was at. And then he said, well, how are you doing? Well, I says, well, I'm pretty shook up right now. And he says, well, Tim, you take care of him and take him back, and I'll call DCI. And that's where we left it.
Okay. So when you said that the sheriff seemed genuine when he said you're shitting me,
well, that was his reaction. You're shitting me.
Okay.
Like, he was genuinely surprised that there was a body out there.
Okay.
I mean, not to take away from him in any fashion. That was just his response.
Okay. More of the reason I'm asking that, you're clarifying that is, are you now questioning, or were you questioning on whether the sheriff was genuine about that?
No. I want to make sure that's clear. I mean, if I said that wrong.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify.
He was surprised. I mean, he was probably as surprised as I was minutes previously in finding the body.
Right.
Just kind of a shock. You're shitting me.
Right.
And I mean, I thought I took that reaction as genuine, like, well, clearly he didn't know there was a body either, and that's, was all settling in to me. That,
So when you spoke to the sheriff at his house, do you remember what was he wearing? Was he, dressed like he was ready to go on duty, do you remember? Or, I mean, at 8:30 in the morning, you might catch him in pajamas.
So this is 9:30 in the morning.
Okay. 9:30. Okay.
Ish. Yep. Because we left here around 8. And then, like I said, we got gas, we went to the crash site, and then we went to the sheriff. And I guess, I don't remember if he's wearing a uniform or not, but I would say he's dressed like you folks. I mean, he dressed like he was gonna, go out, be out for the day appropriately. He was not in pajamas, per se, or some kind of night clothing. He was in standard clothing. I mean,
okay. Yeah, there's that 8:30, 9:30. You might catch me in
on Sunday morning.
You might catch me in not ready to go.
Right. Or I guess I don't remember him look like he was going to go to church, but I don't look like he's going to go to pajamas either. I mean, standard clothes.
All right. So you showed the sheriff. He said he'd take over from there, and you and Tim. He released you and Tim from the scene.
He released me and Tim from the scene, and said he would contact DCI.
Okay. All right.
And that's what I remember, except for at some point, the Highway Patrol asked if I would do a blood draw, and I said absolutely. And I did that up at the jail. That's when I asked you where we were meeting exactly. At the top of the hill, there's actually the jail.
Oh, okay.
So I would, I met up there for that. And I believe that officer, Highway Patrol, was Schneider.
Okay.
His name.
Yep.
And he coordinated that with Tim.
Okay.
Because I called my father when I got home, or I got back to the office. And while I was doing that, that's when Tim talked with Highway Patrol to line that up.
So you said when you got back to the office, you went to the office, not home?
Yes, went to the office. Yes.
Okay. What'd you do at the office?
Wait.
Just waited?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just kind of, he had said to Tim to look after me for a little while. So not to go home and leave me alone, I guess, was Tim's thing. He said, what? Because I think it was Tim's idea. Let's just go to the office.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Tim stayed at the office and too.
Yeah, he was with me.
Okay, all right.
And I know we went and we came here and did the blood draw. And we went back to the office for a little while, I think, and then he, asked if I was okay and stuff to go home and such, and because now I don't have a car at all, so I know he had to take me home at some point.
Right. Okay. All right. So I just want to go back a little bit to when the accident happened. What is the last thing you remember upon impact when you hit something? What is the very last thing you remember about hitting, or, at impact?
I think that I had just shut the radio off and looked down at the speedometer.
Okay.
I mean, I shut the radio off, just soon from Highmore in, Highmore to the site somewhere. And then I think I looked down at the speedometer I just seen the speed sign, and I did not engage the cruise.
Okay.
And then I shook to get to the...
Do you remember how you were feeling when you were driving home from Redfield that night? I mean, were you feeling tired, fatigued at all?
I do not feel fatigued. I felt normal. Normal driving. I did not feel fatigued.
Okay. Do you remember, were you using your phone at all for anything besides to make a couple phone calls?
Nope. The only phone calls I made were to my father, which ended prior to Miller.
Yep. Okay.
I have two phones, as you know. One was on the passenger seat, and the other one was on my console, and I did not, use them, then.
Okay.
I do not have the phone in my hands when the crash happened. I had, our hands on the wheel and looking at the speedometer.
Okay.
So as best I can relate that.
So your phones, to unlock them, do you use mine? I can use a code or my thumb. I think my kids can actually use a facial recognition thing. They hold it in front of their face.
Right.
How are yours set up?
One doesn't have anything, and
which one doesn't have anything?
The personal phone, the Droid.
Okay. No security on that?
No security on that one.
Okay. And how about your work phone?
You have to punch code in. That's the one.
So you can't just use a thumbprint or anything like that. You actually got to enter in a code. How many numbers is your code? 4 numbers? Okay. But you don't remember using your phone for anything other than phone calls? Or to your dad that night on the way home?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
How's your vision?
Good.
Do you have night vision problems, anything like that?
No, I'm in the Army, so I had a vision test a year ago.
Sure.
And I came out fine. I have no glasses or anything.
And I know some people have trouble seeing stars and stuff at night, and I was just curious if you experienced any of that stuff.
No.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, that's fine. So have you had any other contact with the sheriff at all?
No, I have not I have not had any contact at all with the sheriff. I think Tim might have reached out because we were trying to figure out who the family was.
Oh, okay.
To offer condolences, sympathy. And I think Tim might have. Do you know these people? Do they have a relative who is the right person?
Were you guys ever able to get anywhere with that?
No. No, not at all.
Okay.
We found a different way to find out than the funeral home. They put the obituary and put the funeral home of where that had happened, and then we learned that the father passed away about 6 weeks prior. We were looking to reach out to the mother, but we saw that, and did not reach out then because obviously she just lost her husband and then 6 weeks later loses a son. So
right.
we just didn't think that was the right time.
Right.
Because the father was still on the funeral home registry. Also.
Okay. All right. So on your phone then, you have you have email on your work phone, I assume?
Correct.
Okay. How do you open up your email? Is it just like I have a mail icon basically?
Right. You
I can
click
hit
on
that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that for a South Dakota State email or?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have other emails besides your work email?
Yes.
Okay. But your work, you can just click something and boom, you're in, right? What other kind of emails do you have?
Campaign email.
Okay.
And personal email. And then military email.
Okay, so the campaign email, what would that, is that like a Gmail, a Yahoo Mail?
Yahoo Mail.
Okay, that's Yahoo. And how about your personal?
It's also Yahoo, different one.
Okay. Military, what's that? Is that like a...
It's a .mil.
.mil, .us
Yeah,
or whatever?
that's your name,
Okay.
.mil, mail.mil or something, yeah.
Okay. And you had both phones with you when you went to
Correct.
the dinner, and then you brought them, you had them both when you came home, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
What's the address for your campaign?
Do you have any Google Mail accounts? Any Gmails?
Yes,
Okay.
so it's more campaign related again,
Okay,
but
so you have-
it's the same.
Okay. And that's a campaign email?
Yes,
Okay.
predominantly, yeah.
Okay. I assume they're all kind of used
Little bit. I mean, try not to, but
try.
yeah. I mean, some people and you
Mhm.
meet them and you move them over to a different email,
Right.
you know, sometimes.
Okay. So now, any of these emails, do you have to get into those? How do you get into those on your phone?
Well, first off, I don't get into the Gmail one on my phone
Okay.
at all,
Okay.
ever.
Okay.
I don't like Gmail. It's not as easy, user-friendly for me. And then the other one, you have to go on to the internet, I guess.
Okay. So you actually have to go in to click on Safari or whatever, go into Yahoo,
Right.
and then sign in.
Right.
Okay.
And then my military email, quite frankly, I just ever use that on my laptop that they've given me.
Okay.
Because it's complicated. It's got long passwords and stuff you gotta enter in every time to,
Do you have the VPN at all
yeah,
with your laptop?
yeah.
So when you were driving, you don't remember going into any of these email accounts while you were driving home that night?
No.
Okay. Are there any websites that you do frequently use, that you frequent on your phone?
Well, when I'm around my house or around, a building, maybe you check out the news and such, I mean, I try to use my laptop and or, personal computers, laptops, desktops, stuff like that, predominantly. You know, I use them once in a while.
Do you have any certain sites you check the news on? Particularly, any favorites or common ones?
Well, now with political season, you know, I actually look at Fox, CNN, and MSNBC. I look at the three big networks, I guess I call it. That would be what I traditionally look at, I guess.
Okay. How about any of the local newspapers? Do you do those online?
I haven't since this, and you can tell this happened.
Okay, I bet not.
I was not a normal 10 o'clock at news or watcher of the frequent news. I guess we get the Argus Leader paper and the Rapid City Journal paper at the office, and I tend to look at those, but I will look at those at the office periodically.
Okay. So what would you think, though, if I told you that when they did the phone extractions, they found some internet activity on your phone around that time?
Well, I guess I don't not use my phone, but I did not use it at the time of the crash. No.
Okay. But were you using it up to the time of the crash?
You know, not that I recall.
Are you aware what phones will actually tell us, Jason?
Yeah, somewhat, you know.
Okay. So they're pretty straightforward.
Right, okay.
And there isn't any manipulation that you can do with
it. Right. I didn't do anything to them.
So,
no. Right, and we didn't either.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And it's like...
The best I can recall is that the one phone was on my, on the seat, and I never touched that one. That's the Droid. That's the one they said they couldn't get the information off of and would have to mail to New Jersey. You know, and it slammed into the wheel well, is what I remember. The other one, I remember, you know, I would say prior to or right at Highmore, I set it down on, you know, but, you know, through the journey, it fell down a few times, you know, but onto the gear shift, but I was not using it at the time. I know that.
Okay. So you set it down about when you got to Highmore?
Yeah, around Highmore, the console, there's a little console. I set it on top, and I know I had both plugged in, you know, both were charging. Yeah, but it would slip down, and I'd pick it up, and, you know.
So what were you doing with it before you got to Highmore, if you set it down at Highmore?
I look at the time and such. I know I do that. I would open it up and I'd see the time better. But you know, I glance at it. You know. Okay. Nothing sticks out, I guess.
When you say glance at your phone, what do you mean by that?
Glance and see what time it was.
Okay.
You know, just you know, a periodic check. I sometimes listen to podcasts, but I was not.
Okay.
That night. That's another app I use.
Yep.
Sometimes, but I will play it and it sits down.
Right. Are you able to Bluetooth your phone in so that if you like listen to a podcast or receive a phone call, is it hands free for you?
Yes.
Okay.
And or you can just hear it from the phone.
Okay.
The Suburban, which I have for work, I can Bluetooth it better than my car.
Okay.
Lay it on this. I'd lay it right the same place there. I guess I always lay it the same place.
Okay. So you lay it there and just let the speaker.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So were you using your phone, besides for the phone call to your dad, which we know, I mean, that's
right.
Were you using your phone at all for any other activities on that drive home that night?
I didn't have any texts that I sent, and typically if I would text, I would do voice to text, which I know I didn't do that night. And the work email, but I didn't do any of that. You know, I guess that's what I remember.
Okay. You don't remember signing into a Gmail account, though?
No. Because it's just always hard to get to where you need
That
to go.
one's a hard one to get to.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you do have 2 Yahoo
Yes.
accounts. Do you remember signing into either of those? Because when you go in and you want to go on your Yahoo account,
Mm-hmm.
do you have to actually manually enter in your username and password, or are they do they autofill?
They autofill.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'd have to go in and then click sign in. They would be there, and then probably another sign in thing or whatever. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Do you remember being on either of those?
I guess it's possible that I could have checked those, yeah.
Okay. All right. You ever go on the Dakota Free Press?
Yes.
What is that?
That's a blog.
Okay.
That's a blog here, politics, yes.
Oh, it's a political blog?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's another one, then, Dakota War College,
Okay.
also a blog.
All right.
I guess you see what the headlines are more than anything, yes.
How about Real Clear Politics?
Okay, yes.
Okay, what's that one?
Politics, and it has a whole bunch of stories and and stuff
Okay.
of the day, but that's more national politics, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's more of a national site, not
Mhm.
where. So Dakota Free Press is a South Dakota political blog.
Yes.
Okay. How about what's Just the News?
Just the News. No, I don't recognize that one.
Okay. All right. Have you ever read the article Riding the Dragon? It's a documentary about Joe Biden.
It's not familiar to me, I
Okay.
guess.
All right. Well, here, I'll kind of show you where I'm getting this stuff
absolutely.
from.
Yes, absolutely.
So, here's kind of the information that was put together on your phone and here's our times. So, outgoing call, 10:24. That's what time you made the 911 call.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's all fine and dandy, you know. But leading up to that, at 10:20, you unlock your phone, signed into your Yahoo Mail account.
Mm-hmm.
Also, then signed out. At 10:20:49, you were on the Dakota Free Press
Okay.
site. These are all on your work phone.
Mm-hmm.
A minute later, you were on the Real Clear Politics website.
Okay.
And then, about a minute later, this article was pulled up through the Just the News,
Okay.
which could have been something that
Mm-hmm.
you were on this and it had a link to click to get you to this one
Mm-hmm.
regarding this. It's an article about Joe Biden and
Mhm.
something with China. So you were on that up to about, we're going to estimate probably a minute before the accident.
Okay.
You were on that. Do you remember any of these?
Well, I remember looking at it, but that's when I set my phone down. Prior to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Because then, like I said, we're looking at a minute to 2 minutes before you call 911.
Right.
So, the concern being is that we know that from the time of impact, there was a time period that went by before you called 911. You had to realize what was going on, come to a stop, get your bearings back about you, get out, look at the damage a little bit, figure out what the hell's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to figure out where you are, call 911. So it's reasonable to say that there was a minute to 2 minutes that passed from impact to when you were actually on the phone with 911, right? That would be reasonable, correct? I mean,
I guess, yeah.
so when we look at that, our concern is everything that we're seeing here is appearing that you were on your phone reading political stuff at the time.
But I just wasn't. I set it down. I know I did.
Did you maybe set it down after the accident?
No, because I grabbed it and went out.
Mm-hmm. And it was sitting in, like, the center console
Center
area?
console area, absolutely.
Okay, so when the impact happened, that phone was sitting in the center console?
Absolutely.
Okay. see where this obviously...
Well, yeah.
It's
an issue.
Part of this, Jason, is we have a job,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Absolutely.
People make mistakes,
Right.
and we're thinking you made one.
I don't remember being on my phone. I set it down, and I shut the radio off, and I looked at the speedometers, the best I remember.
Yeah.
But I don't, that's what I was, worried, how fast does that transmit, that you do that, that you set it down. And I never shut the browser, I guess, a lot,
Yeah. But it shows you unlocked it and such, so, it's a tough position. We
Right.
know,
Right.
we know. But it's like, it's sure appears to be a problem here. And we want to get ahead of it,
Right.
just like you do.
Right.
I get it. I know what kind of position you're in. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
But these don't disappear, too.
Right, I understand.
I mean,
I look at
you're
stuff.
smart enough to know
I
that
look at stuff.
technology is
But I
instant.
I remember I sat it down because I was getting rid of distractions because I wanted to think about these cases. But, shut it down there.
And it could have been just at that moment. But you know
Right.
you know the speed of technology today. You're a smart
Right.
man,
Right.
and it's like the speed of technology is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was not looking at it when it happened. I won't say that I was. No. I set it down, and I went to hit I shut the radio off, and I looked at the speedometer.
Mm-hmm. So is it maybe when all that was going on that the impact happened?
Well, that's the best message that I can remember. Boom.
yeah, and it could be instantaneous.
Right.
Right.
And we get that.
Right.
We
Yes.
get that. It could be instantaneous, and like you said the last time.
Right.
Wham! There it is.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're putting it down, it could be wham! There it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, I set it down. I remember sitting it down. I pretty confident I shut the radio off, and then wham, looked at the speedometer. This was the best I remember. And then wham. I was not looking at my phone. I know it's the law, and I was not looking at it at the time it happened. No.
You've been kind of called out on that before too, haven't you?
I don't know what you mean by that.
So somebody, when you were texting or tweeting when you were going through the Black Hills,
Well,
that was a similar type situation where,
well, yeah.
and you got kind of called out on it. That's what I mean.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
we heard about all that. Joe and I have done. We want to cover every basin we have.
Right.
And I can assure you, we have gone as far.
Well, obviously, I'm political. I get called out on lots of stuff that
Yeah.
doesn't look necessarily how it looks.
Right.
And it may or may not be appropriate.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Granted.
Right.
And
Right.
so I can see where, in a situation like this, all of a sudden this is wham.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Now what do I do? And it's like, I don't know what just happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that something's going on really serious here, and I got to figure it out. And I kind of think that's what I've done this for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
I started in 1981.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on my 39th year.
Right.
So in that time, I've had situations like this before,
Mm-hmm.
where all of a sudden you have to make a decision,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fast, and it's going to last forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see where it's like, oh, I should not have done this. I should not have been doing this. And now I'm kind of in a jam. What do I do?
I still believe I was not on my phone when the moment happened.
But
I laid it down.
But you agree that it could have been at that moment that you were putting it down.
I still believe I put the phone down and reached to shut the radio off. Now, Was that 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 20 seconds? I don't know. But, wham. It's close relation, I guess.
Yeah, it's really close.
Right. But I was not doing it at the time of the impact. I set that phone down. I know I did.
Do you remember reading that article at all?
No.
It's basically about Joe Biden. I looked at it as well.
Okay.
Because when we get these,
Right.
Jason, we can go look at what you're looking at.
Right, yeah.
And it's about,
Yeah, about some conspiracy with Joe Biden in China. I didn't read that.
I guess I would say I glance at headlines a lot.
Sure.
I don't read articles when I'm driving.
And it probably
Glance
was an
at the
intriguing headline. I mean, I would guess.
Right. Because when we enter in the address that was on your phone,
Mhm.
it actually takes you to the article. It's not just like a headline where you scroll down and see other headlines or whatever. You were on that article.
Okay, so like you go from Real Clear Politics
Mm-hmm.
to the article, and you can click on, that's what Real Clear Politics is, you click on article.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. And then they
Yep.
take you to the article.
Right. Kind of what I was saying is I think you were
Right.
probably in Real Clear Politics, clicked on this Riding the Dragon, which took you to just the news and that article.
Okay.
But I'm speculating
Yeah, I don't
too
know,
on,
yeah.
I'm guessing
Right.
on that.
Yeah, I've never heard of just the news, no.
Right. Which made me think then that you were on Real Clear Politics, clicked on an article, and
Right.
they probably have it embedded in their site that you go to these sites and, for the article.
Right.
But you don't remember reading that article
No.
at all?
No.
Okay.
Like I said, I glance at headlines at best.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, I know you said you glance at headlines. This one you actually went into the story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you actually,
Right, but,
it went and it took you to the article.
right, yeah.
So,
But then that's the headline there, yeah.
mm-hmm. So,
My recollection is I'm getting rid of distractions because I'm going to think about those two cases. I know those cases. I'm setting it down, shutting it off.
So that part of, like we were just talking about, Jason, and the part that you had told us in our last interview where it was, I didn't see what I hit until the impact.
Mm-hmm. Well, I never saw.
That's your quote.
Okay.
So in light of that, that would make sense. That right there would make sense. You're putting it down, wham, and then your head's up. It's like I just hit something.
Again,
Does that sound logical?
Well, I'm getting rid of distractions, and I look, like I said, I remember my hand, for that radio, and then to the speedometer is what I believe happened.
So you had your phone call. This is back up a little bit.
Okay.
So you had your phone call, and then...
With my father, are we talking about?
Yep. And then even the second one with your dad. How about on your way there? Were you on your phone talking to anybody then? Do you remember what you were looking at when you were driving out there?
No, I don't think I called anybody.
Okay. Do you remember what you were looking at?
I might have looked at articles and stuff again, yes.
And it's hard. Because
Right.
I've driven it.
Right.
It is not an exciting road.
Right.
I can guarantee you that. And
But I do remember I listened, like I told you before, I started to listen to these, and they're in the car, I told you, the discs. They're books on tape.
yeah.
And I listened to them for a while, but I just didn't like either one of them.
Yeah, you said they didn't.
Yeah,
They were not intriguing at all.
Right.
So, do you do both then? Were you on your phone while you're listening to the book?
Usually not, no. It's one or the other, yeah.
How much time did you spend looking for your insurance card?
The insurance card took a little longer. I mean, the other was right there. And then, because I remember I looked at it, and then I it was not the right one. It's like the year behind.
Sure.
You know, and I looked at it, and that wasn't right, and I looked at it a little while longer, and I took it back to the sheriff. And then I said, I don't got the right one, you know. I mean, I think he was writing it out, and he says, hell, nobody's got the right one. Usually I got about 5 of them in the car. He said something to that effect.
Sure.
You know.
And that was on the visor, the other was in the glove box?
The glove box, yes.
Did you have to take things out of the
Yes,
glove box?
I had to move stuff around, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you notice anything on the passenger side while you were doing that?
Just glass. I mean, I was staying away from the glass, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't spend a lot of time.
So, when you're doing that, are you leaning over the console?
Yes,
or are you...
from the driver's door, leaning over, yes.
Okay. So you can kind of see in the glove box, and
Right.
which
And
is already popped open.
It's already popped open, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, did you see the glasses right next to that?
I did not.
Okay.
You showed me the glasses the first time.
They're-
The first time
They're Joe's glasses.
I wondered about that.
So that means his face came through your windshield. It's a tough thing.
Oh. I was thinking that his face did not come through because there would have been blood. I thought there'd been blood everywhere then. Now, you know, after I've thought about it.
Yeah, and you've had time.
Right.
His glasses are right there, Jason. Those are Joe's.
I did not see the glasses till you showed me.
Sure.
Oh.
So the only way for them to get there is through the windshield. At the impact, did you look over and see anything?
I did not see any. I mean, it was. Again, I then was looking to get to the side. I did not see anything. No, absolutely not. You know, not. It shattered, and I probably cringed or something. But I was just trying to get it to the side. I did not see him. I did not know there was a human until the next day.
Okay, so
No.
when the glasses are in there, it's like his lenses. I mean, we have a witness. We've talked to witnesses that actually had seen him out there as well.
I did not see those glasses until you showed.
Yeah, and so we know they're Joe's. Okay, and I know that doesn't help you feel any better.
Oh, no.
And I know you feel bad about this, Jason.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But
no matter what happened, somebody
Right.
died.
yeah,
Absolutely.
so I mean, you have to look at it from our
absolutely.
our side of it. We're
Mhm.
we're just trying to find
Mhm.
the facts. We know what we know, and then we're explaining it, you know, as best as we can. We know certain things. We know those are his glasses. They were on his head because they were seen on his head. They ended up in your car.
I never saw him until you showed him to me.
Okay.
I never saw him, no.
One of the other things that we know, Jason, is you weren't in the middle of the road. You were on the shoulder. And I know it happens fast, because it's happened to me. We have 3 people putting him next to the grass. So we knew something was happening. I mean, you're a smart man. You know, Joe and I have done this job a long time. We know what the evidence is going to show us, what the evidence does show us.
I don't remember. I remember being in the road, but you know, she'll show me what the evidence shows. But
Yeah. So part of the evidence that is really convincing is there is bone scrape on the inside of the rumble bars, and that's where his leg was likely broke. That's where the pieces were at.
So how did he get farther down the road. I mean, did he ride? How did that?
His face was in your windshield, Jason. Think about that.
And you're going 65 to 70 miles per hour. So from the time it takes you to slow down, and you figure how far you went at 65 to 70 miles per hour just before it clicks that you need to stop.
But it doesn't show that I braked a few times? You know, I tried to stop?
It wasn't, we tested your brakes work fine.
Uh-huh.
There's also ABS, so they don't skid.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that. Yes, I've heard about that.
So not only do they not skid, they slow you down relatively fast, but they don't skid, because each one of the brakes are working independently.
Okay.
Wheels.
Okay, I don't,
So,
understand all that, but yes, I understand.
so that's kind of how that works.
Okay.
Okay. And so you got to think about the momentum, and as you're going, sooner or later the stopping power is going to make him pop out.
Okay.
And he goes into the ditch.
And you would think, I guess I thought, if that's what happened, he, braking multiple times, he'd have fallen off, not just at the last time. Because, I never saw him in relation to the car. So I don't know where he was in relation to the car.
You mean as his body?
Yeah.
His body-wise, or
right, yeah.
Where are you trying to...
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because the car they took away, and I found the body the next day. I never saw the car with the body, or vice versa,
We know that his face came through your windshield. We know that. We already talked about that. That's, I would think, substantially clear. That's what happened. We also have the imprint on the hood where his body, well, at least part of his body, likely was riding. At some point in time, he rolls off, takes out the mirror, and slides into the ditch. I want you to be really honest right now.
I am. I never saw him.
I got another question for you.
Okay.
Did you see the flashlight he was carrying?
No.
Ever? When you walked back to town?
No flashlight.
It was pitch dark out there.
Right.
And with it being pitch dark, we went out and tested it.
Okay.
We picked up the flashlight.
Right. Okay.
The flashlight was still on when Joe and I got to the scene.
Okay.
It had not been touched. We picked it up and the light is still on.
Okay.
We talked to a witness that had just seen the light, had seen him walking with the light.
Okay.
After the crash, did you see that light in the dark? Because it's pitch dark. If there's something glowing,
right,
it would make sense for you to see it.
Right. I did not see any light, no.
Are you certain?
I am absolutely certain.
Just because, Jason, we went out there another night with that flashlight recently and put it back in the same spot it was in, with it back on, and it's hard to miss. I mean, it truly is hard to miss when you're out there, especially if you're walking back towards Highmore.
Right.
And we walked on both sides of the highway to give. We wanted to give you the benefit.
No,
of the
absolutely.
Doubt. We wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt because we knew you walked towards Highmore.
Yes.
So on your way back, we walked on both the south side and the north side, and that flashlight was like a beacon.
I don't know if I turned around at the wrong spot then or what. I don't know. I did not see a flashlight. I didn't see him in the face, no. I did not. I did not. I did not know it was a man until the next day. No.
I think you had an idea it was something other than a deer, though.
I just believed it was a deer. I do. I know it sounds, but I've never hit a man before. I've hit a deer, because that's the time of season to do that.
In your 911 call, though, Jason, you say, I hit something.
Right, because I don't know what it was, but I assumed it was a deer. I never saw a deer. I never saw a man. I just assumed it was a deer. I hit something. I just assumed it was a deer. Because what else would there be? I had no, and I still don't believe, I would not expect a man to be on the side of the road in dark like it was. I would not think that a person would be out there at that time. I would think a deer, though, would hit you at that time in this season with crops and everything. I did not know. I did not know it was a man until the next day. And I guess the best witness to that is Tim the next day, who saw my reaction, you know, and that I was extremely shook up that it was that was a person. No, his face went through the sheet.
I think you'd have been shocked no matter when.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, I don't think anybody would ever disagree with that. Absolutely. If anybody, I mean, this lady down in Hot Springs the other day hit somebody, obviously.
So, part of me has some belief that you maybe saw something the night before. And what I'm going to do is just a little demonstration. I'm going to take a white piece of paper. This room was pitch dark,
Okay.
and there was any light. Would you see that because of the contrast of the color around it?
Maybe, maybe not. I don't necessarily believe you would.
Okay. And that did. So, we did this as well. So the grass out there is obviously green.
Right.
Is less than 2 feet off of the road. Less than 2 feet into the grass. You know, you found them.
Right.
Less than 2 feet. Did you see something white laying there? Because, I mean, as you know, he didn't have clothes on that were covering the white part of his body. I mean, you're a smart man. You would understand that. Because there's such a contrast.
I did not see him the night before. I don't know where he is in relation to my car, because I never saw him and the car together. You would have to tell me where he was, because I did not see him in relation to the car, ever.
He was very close to that large piece of debris, though.
He was? He was?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
No! Because the day before, we stopped where the debris was. I guess if you had asked me that question at the beginning, I would have said he was up the road from the debris, that large piece of debris.
No, he was just not very far from. I'm not saying he was right even with.
Right, he wasn't
right even with. He wasn't very far.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because think about it. You said you parked at that piece of debris on the 13th in the morning when you guys came back.
Well, we parked around it.
Right around it.
Kind of like the starting point of where to look.
And you didn't walk very far, though.
I walked up. I mean, we walked west from that, though. I thought quite a ways. You know, I mean, quite a ways is a relative term.
Right.
I mean, what? Because I went back towards Tim. I guess I'd have to maybe ask Tim, where did we park in relation to that piece of debris, I guess? Because we had two vehicles, one on each side, and one. I did not see him the night before.
And I'm not saying that he was within 10 feet of that debris, but he was not very far from that large piece of debris laying on. I mean.
Okay. I guess I would have said the next, that he was a ways from that, yes.
You would have to agree he was right next to the road, though, where you found
He was on a slope, yes.
a little bit of a slope.
Yep.
But we measured it's less than 2 feet.
Oh my God. I walked back towards him. I looked. And if he's not by my car?
Well, he's not going to be right by your car where you stopped. We determined where your car was stopped at.
Good, because I thought you would with the picture.
We did.
You know.
We did.
I'm thinking about that now.
We were on no stones and talking.
I went around. I didn't check on that side of the car that night. I went around to take the photo when the sheriff came.
Do you normally wear a Fitbit, Jason?
No.
Do you have a tracking app on your phone?
I don't know.
So when as you walk, GPS tracks you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apple Fit.
Okay.
Apple
Fit. Okay.
It's just an app on your
Then
phone.
it's an app that I don't know about.
Yeah. It counts your steps.
It counts your steps.
Okay.
It's run off of GPS,
Uh-huh.
and so we know you're on that side of the road.
Right. Yeah, I never left. I
You
guess
stayed on that side. You said that earlier.
Right. I guess what I was trying to say is I think when I came back, I came out around the front, and then that's where I took the photo here.
So
I didn't go around.
You're saying this would be your car.
That's my car, yes.
You went around
This way, on the highway.
It's not that close to your car.
Okay.
It's not that close to your car.
Okay. Well, thanks.
No, the debris is...
Because I'm saying I didn't look here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you would have found nothing.
Right.
Other than washer fluid. That's the only thing.
That's what you said earlier the first time.
Go back 60 feet,
At least, yeah.
something like that, and that's where he's at. And that's, go back probably 75 feet, and that's where your debris is at.
Okay.
So it all lines up.
Okay, I understand that then. Yeah, I mean, I thought you meant he was over here or something.
No. I'm saying, if this is the road, the edge of the road, this is where his body's at. It's 2 feet. It's a little bit more. So his body is in that close to the edge of the road, and he is white, because he's got no blood in him. I mean, he's obviously deceased. I think he was deceased the moment he hit the car.
Wow.
And so he is lily white. Any light that hits that is gonna glow.
I did not see him the night before. I'll swear on a stack of Bibles. I did not see him the night before. I did not.
So where were you looking when you were walking back towards Highmore? Did it establish that you were by Highmore?
Well, I guess I was looking, that direction. I mean, to the right, I was looking to look at the green Highmore sign.
Mm-hmm.
I'm walking and looking to try and see that sign to make sure that's and then I turn around and I'm looking into the ditch. So I don't know exactly where I turned around and saw him. I didn't see him. I did not see him.
So it was 400 and some steps from your car towards Highmore.
Okay.
You had to walk by.
I might have walked by him, but I didn't see him.
But you also had to walk by the light. That's the really confusing part. Again, the light's still on.
And the flashlight's lit up and glowing.
Yeah, it's
not in the grass deep. I mean, it's on the very edge of the grass. So I mean,
it's like right on the edge of the grass. There's a couple blades of grass here, but this is all.
I don't know where I don't know where my steps were. I turned around. I did not see those things. I did not see him until the next day.
So we also walked back to the Highmore sign to see how close you have to get to see it.
Okay.
And I have 2015 and 2020, so I have pretty good vision.
Right.
And you had to go by. There was no question about it in order to read that sign.
Well, I mean, from what you're telling me, I'm not disputing that I went by, but I didn't see him at all. I did not see him until the next day. And I did not know about the glasses until you told me.
Let's look at it this way. Did you see something and just didn't pay any attention?
No.
I mean, I know you're shook up.
Yes.
I know just from talking to you the next 2 days later or whenever we talked to you, you were still shook up. And I can appreciate that. Again, and it's like, so in light of that, I'm saying, did you just maybe not pay attention when you walked by, or I was
just scanning. I did not see him. I mean, I'm scanning, but I didn't. It's a camera light. It's not great either.
But if you're looking for a deer,
you'd be looking at the ground.
You're looking at the ground, aren't you? Wouldn't you look at the ground?
I looked both. I kind of did. I mean, I don't know where my hand went exactly. But
that's impossible to know.
Right.
We get that.
But I did not see him. I did not see him. No. I did not see him. I don't know what else to tell you. I didn't.
You know what, Jason? If I'd have an easier time believing this. He still had clothes on because he had. Yeah,
I saw him in a
blue shirt.
Yeah, a dark shirt.
And
jeans. But I didn't look. We didn't look at him real close the next morning either. You know, when I saw him, when I found him the next morning. I did not see him that night. No, I did not. I can see how you say I should have seen him, but I didn't see him.
And I'm just doing it from a logical...
No, I did not see him.
That's what I'm just saying. It's from a logical perspective, and that's what we're talking about all along here. We from a logical perspective, if you went by that, I'm looking, I would have seen it. And we asked a number of people, so when you go looking for a deer, you know, what?
I scanned into the ditch and walking back towards my car, but I did not see him.
We also say, I mean, the people we talked to said, so I was in a meeting with a group of investigators, and I said, how many of you hit a deer? Every single one in that room. And there was 9.
Right.
I said, how many of you did not know you hit a deer? Every single one of them knew they hit a deer. So that's why I think the phone part came. That explains that part. That kind of explains that part of it. The part of him laying on the side of the road.
But then the next morning, we found him at 9:30. People had gone by, and they didn't see him either.
Yeah,
you know,
and we saw that.
Right.
Joe and I saw that.
Right.
But you know what? I mean, he was off the level. But as long as you were on from the fog line over, you could see his body. You could see the white. But if you were like walking down the center of the road, which I'm thinking if you just hit something, you're not going to walk down the middle of the road because those cars come along pretty fast, and you didn't want to be a statistic either.
But I don't remember any cars coming when I was there until the sheriff came. I did not see him.
So nobody stopped by to see if you were
needed help or anything? Nope. I called 911 and the sheriff came. That's the only.
So those are the only
2 that went by that I don't.
That you noticed.
I mean, when the sheriff came, you know, I kind of, like I said, I'm looking at the car. He's on my side. I don't remember anybody going past then, but you know, up to that point, nobody had come. You know, nobody.
But you were also on your phone too, as well, though, right?
Well,
you were calling people and saying, "I just got in a crash."
On the way home.
Well, that's on the way home.
Yes.
Okay.
After I got the sheriff's. No. Yes.
Okay.
No, I didn't call until
We should have sent them text messages with the photos and, hey, I got into an accident. I'm okay. Car not so good. That was during that time, right?
Well, I took the photo, and then the sheriff comes. I don't think I send it until I leave the sheriff. I don't think I call anyone until I'm going down the road again.
And that's when you send the text messages to Nadvig and Borman? Then?
Somewhere, yeah.
Okay.
And we just want to get, we want to make sure we get everything in the right order.
I did not see him the night before. Absolutely not. I did not see him until I discovered him the next day. And got Tim, got the sheriff. I never saw the glasses until you told me when we were here in this room. You know, I was looking at the insurance. That's all.
I mean, you have to give us a little something here, Jason. Okay. Initially, you were driving down the middle of the road. We know that's not true. You were 10 and 2 driving, and you didn't see this guy walking down the middle of the road. We know that's not true. Jason, you're a good guy. You're not used to being in this pickle.
I am a good guy, yes.
I agree. You're not used to this. We're used to people that are used to being in that scene.
Right, I understand that. I mean, I understand.
So that's why
process.
we're, and I know you understand the process. I'm not second guessing that at all. What I'm saying is, if you look at it from our perspective,
I get
okay,
it.
Things haven't been straightforward by any means. In fact, some people would call you a liar.
I am not a liar.
Some people, I'm not calling you a liar. I'm saying there's some mistakes made here, though. You would have to agree with that.
I don't know what I'd have done differently. I did not. I believe I was in the road, and I believe I set my phone down, shut the radio off, and was looking to put the cruise control on. And I didn't find him. I did not find him until the next day. I mean, it pains me tremendously to hear that his face went through the windshield. But I didn't look over. I was trying to stay alive myself at that point and get over. And I looked at the car, and I didn't see any blood. You know, I've been thinking to myself, if his face went through, it had to be blood everywhere. You know, would have been on the car. Because you got more skin here.
Actually, that's not true, because
okay.
I believe he was dead on impact.
Right.
The second you hit him, he was dead. His heart's not working anymore. He is dead. So it's not pumping anymore. It's just sitting there.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. I mean, but that's how I was envisioning it.
And I can see.
I was thinking the back of his head, and
I'm trying to clarify it for you as well.
Right. Well, that's it, because I would obviously like to know what the, how he rode the car and where he ended up and everything. You know, it never made sense to me. And I figured it had to be the back of his head, and hair doesn't have the capillaries and everything your face has to spread blood, because there's no blood that I saw in the car or even on the outside of the car when we looked at it.
But it is a red car.
Well, that's it. It's a red car, and it is dark.
Yeah.
The people have been like, oh, there was blood on the road. Well, how do you tell that it's blood on the road versus washer fluid or it's just the road? I mean, it's dark.
Yeah,
that's super dark, and I'm not expecting to have a person walking down the road or the shoulder even at that time of night or day. Yeah. It only makes sense that it was a deer to me.
The other question that I brought up to this group, how many of you went back the next day to look to see what your deer looked like?
I got that, and I didn't go back to look at him because I thought that I'd hit a man. I went back because the debris was still there.
No, what I'm saying is, I asked them how many of you went back to look at the deer,
right?
To find the deer,
right?
And none of them did.
Well, yeah, but most of them probably found the deer or left the scene from there. I mean, I'm bringing it back, and if I wouldn't, I thought I was doing the right thing, getting gas to give back to the sheriff, and I said, well, let's look for, the deer. I was just curious of how did it play out. It just felt like a thunderbolt hit my car, and where did he go? Maybe he went to the other side. I didn't know. And I was kind of trying to put my mind at ease of how did this happen? But I guess to my credit, I'm also like, well, if I didn't find him, how long would he have laid there? And I told the sheriff, and the sheriff was surprised. The sheriff's on the scene at least twice, and so is the tow truck driver. And none of them thought it was suspicious that it was not a deer. I guess Heidi wasn't there when the tow truck driver was there, though, so I don't know what he saw or didn't see, but he didn't jump up and down and tell the sheriff, hey.
Yeah, there was a whole lot. I mean, the car was gone.
Right.
Obviously, you were gone. Tow truck guy is gone.
Right.
We tracked everybody. I mean, we're tracking.
I would think so, yes, absolutely.
We're not leaving anything uncovered.
Well, I get it, that I get strict scrutiny because of who I am.
Yep. Well, I think this would happen no matter what. Because I think your guys would be sitting in these chairs if it was somebody else. And I think you know that.
I did not see him the night before. I did not find him until the next day.
So you're not really sure how far you walked to see the Highmore sign?
No. I walked back in that easterly direction towards the sign until I could see that enough that I could tell it was Highmore, the sign.
Okay. Do you remember walking by a marker? A road marker? Just one of the yellow X's that they put on a post?
No.
Like on a white, no, it's just on a regular post, I guess.
No.
You don't remember seeing that at all?
I'm looking off to that direction, to the east, to the right. That's where the sign's at, on that side of the road. And I don't know how far I walked to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And
without, I mean, that part of it I get.
Mm-hmm.
That part of it.
Because I'm also looking at the town, you're just putting two and two together of, where am I?
Yeah, where you're at.
Right.
So, I mean, arguably, but the flashlight on the side of the road, that's a really,
I don't know.
that's going to be a hard one to stomach.
I didn't see anything. I didn't see a flashlight. I didn't see a man.
But you did see your debris on the road, which was one bigger chunk, I think you described it.
Right, yep.
Was there more than that you saw on the road? And it actually wasn't on the road, it was on the shoulder, right?
Mm-hmm. Not really. I mean, if it... Think about that. I remember seeing that chunk. I guess I'm not certain.
So, part of the Tim being on the other side of the road.
No, Tim's on the same side of the road with me.
I mean, so you turn, he's going that way, but you were going to go over there next.
We went to Highmore first.
Yep.
I got gas, he parked and waited.
Okay.
We then, I went first, and
You
we
turned
both parked on the north side of the road.
And that's where you guys were walking.
Correct. He went east, I went west.
Okay.
We never made it to the south side of the road, because I found him on the north side.
Going there.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
But then...
We didn't need to go to the south side, because I found him on the north side.
Yeah. So, I mean, with your car, with the damage that it has, I mean, and your car's rounded, obviously, this is aware.
Right.
And so this is all the extreme, we'll call it the extreme right of your hood as you're sitting behind the steering wheel. It wouldn't be likely that it would go that way, would it? Anything that you put on this side,
no.
it's not likely that it's going to go to the north side.
No, I mean, I just thought...
Our south side, it's going to stay on the north side.
Right, if it died, that it didn't hit and then go off and keep going. I didn't think so, but I didn't check the south side of the road.
Yeah, you didn't get to that.
I didn't get to that. I thought, let's start on the north side, because maybe he's dead and he's back farther towards the bean field or whatever that is. Maybe he glanced and went that way farther back out there. But maybe he, got across.
Did you see the mirror on the door here? Did you see that was broken?
Yes.
Okay. So everything likely went this way.
Okay.
And then his face is in the windshield here.
I did not understand where he went, in relation, because I never saw him and the car together,
Let me ask you this. Did you feel bumps? I'm not talking rumble bars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking bump up.
No.
Like any kind of thumping underneath your car.
No. I mean, I know it went, and I'm pumping the brakes. and that's what I'm doing. I didn't know what the shock was.
Okay.
I mean, what the impact was. I was just literally trying to stay alive myself and get to the side of the road.
So, pumping changes how ABS works. Because ABS is designed, you power it.
Right.
You push it down, you don't pump it. Not like the old cars that I would be used to back in my day.
Right.
It's like if you start to skid or you're trying to stop and skidding's happening, you pump the brakes. With these, you slam on the brakes.
I remember hitting it and letting off, hitting it, letting off, hitting it. You know, I don't know if it was 3 or 4 times, but I know I did not just slam it.
And that might make sense for how far you went ahead of.
Right, because I didn't
continue on. You didn't dynamite the brakes to
stop right away, because I guess I'd always heard if you're in an accident, you slam it, you could spin yourself or go in the ditch or roll or something yourself, is what I'd always guess I knew. That's why I hit hard, but not to the floor, I would guess. And then I hit a couple times.
Okay. And I guess I'm wondering if you're feeling the bumps or even the rumble bars. Cause
I heard the rumble bars, yes, once I started applying the brakes. I don't remember any rumble bars prior to the brakes, Yeah.
So prior to stepping on the brakes, you don't remember the rumble bars at all?
No.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm not looking over at him, now that I know it's a him, or what it was. I would say I'd describe it as tunnel vision. I mean, I was now trying to get over and stop. I did not know it was a man until the next day.
So so your initial statement where you said,
I hit something, because I didn't know what it was, but I'm assuming it's a deer.
So,
assuming.
I didn't know what I hit until impact. That's a quote.
Okay.
What does that tell you? Upon impact, I knew what I hit.
Okay. Say that again, if you would.
I did not know what I hit until impact. That's your quote. To me, that means once you hit it, you did know what you hit.
I did not know until the next day. I did not. No. I'm a military guy. You do not leave people on the battlefield. You do not leave people behind. If I had any thought that he was a man, I would have tried to render aid or do whatever to get an ambulance out there or whatever. Obviously I didn't know. You told me he died on impact. It would have been too late. But I would have been telling the sheriff and everything. If I thought it was a man, obviously I would have insisted on a blood test or breathalyzer or something at that point, immediately. But I didn't have any idea that this was, anything more than an accident.
But you're pretty shook up.
Well, absolutely.
So, I mean, everything caused you to be pretty shook up at that point. So that's where sometimes people make errors.
Mm-hmm.
They make mistakes. Right. Like I said, from early on, people make mistakes. That's why I have a job. That's why Joe has a job. We try to fix those.
Mm-hmm. I did not know it was a man until I found him the next day. No. I would not have left anybody. I had not even fathomed that a man would be there in the dark. I would say that, it's logical that a deer would be there, not a man.
Right. And quite honestly, I was the test dummy.
Oh, God.
I was the guy walking down the side that they drove by, and I was wearing a blue shirt just like that guy, blue jeans. I volunteered because...
And carrying his flashlight.
And carrying the dead guy's flashlight. To see what they would see. They videoed it. It's pretty apparent. It was pretty apparent that you were not looking at the road when that happened. Whether it's...
I still believe I'm looking at the radio and then looking at the speedometer to lock in the cruise is the best that I can remember.
Do you just hit resume, or do you actually lock it in every single time?
I do both. You know, it depends on if it catches or not, the resume, because sometimes it won't. It won't. Like if you take it off, you hit the brake and it comes down, and sometimes it won't lock it back in. You have to hit, sometimes you have to put it in to hit resume. You know, or, I mean, to on.
Like doesn't catch or something.
Right, yeah,
like that.
right. It'll come off of, and you got to do it over again, basically. And that's what I'm looking at. I know it, and I know how some of this looks, but I did not see a man until the next day. Absolutely. And then when you told me the glasses, you know, obviously that made me think, you know, are they his, you know, after I left here, but I didn't know, you know.
Yeah.
But I did not see that. I mean, like I said, I looked at the 65 sign, I looked at the 48 miles to Pier, and I didn't even really think I was getting going yet. I mean, and you know, away you go, and I just got hit by a thunderbolt.
That's how that stuff happens so fast, though, Jason, and we know it. Because, I mean, quite frankly, it's not the first time that this has ever happened.
Well, yeah.
But it's like, we know that you look down, and we know you're on your phone. At some point, we know you're telling us you're putting it down.
Absolutely.
Turning off the radio.
Yes.
All those things.
Yes, because I'm getting rid of distractions, not adding to them or having distractions.
On the stuff.
Well, you told me that you had a search warrant for my car.
Yeah, yes.
For example, I mean, standard.
And so, we'll show a lot of stuff. So, if you were texting, we'll show it.
I was not texting. I mean, you should be able to look at my phone and show that I wasn't texting.
If you were answering emails, we'll show it.
Right.
And so, if any of that was going on, let's take care of it now so we don't have to come back and reinvent this thing, Jason.
As the best I can remember, I put it down, hit the radio, looked at the speedometer. I don't remember sending any texts, you know, prior to the crash and the picture and,
sure,
you know.
Sure.
And which I willingly gave and everything. I mean,
and that's my fault to say text.
Yep.
Any kind of e-transmission.
Right.
Whatever it is.
Right.
And it's like, let's get it all taken care of now, because...
Do I look at that stuff? Yes. But I looked at it and I know I put my phone down, because I'm gonna think about this case, and I'm getting rid of distractions, not adding to them.
My question would be, why would you go into that Joe Biden article just to then set your phone down? I mean, if you're
that's what I do. I guess I just see the headlines and stuff. I do that all the time. You know, I look at it, maybe, you know, like a scroll, and if it's a long one, I don't, you know, ever read it. I mean, I could do that when I'm sitting here. I'm like, if they're too long, next. You go to the next one, or go to not doing that anymore.
So that one's a fairly, I mean, as it goes.
Right. I mean, you look at it, it's not of interest.
For sure.
Right. I never read the article. I might have, you know, scanned it and looked at it, but so where do we go from here? How long till?
Well, we're still gathering stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we wanted to get you up to speed.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to. This is your opportunity to straighten things out.
Right. Well, I want to help straighten stuff out. Absolutely.
So that's why we came in, and where, quite honestly,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I told you my concerns.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you think they're bogus or not,
Oh, I think you're very genuine.
it's going to be a hard thing to get past. That's
Right.
So if there's...
I never saw there was a man.
If there was a logical reason outside of that, we just need to know. We need to know. Let's get this thing behind us.
I thought I was in the road. I never saw him. I never saw him. Until the next day, when I found him. I don't know what else I can help try and straighten out for you.
Okay.
Do you want to? I'm obviously not as observant as I should be.
Should we take a couple-minute break?
Yeah. Yeah, can I get some water?
We'll get you a glass of water. We'll take a couple-minute break. Been talking a long time.
So Jason, trying to figure out what our other options are to help you out with this too, So, if you were to take a polygraph on this, how would you do?
I would pass, except for I've asked my guys how that would work, because I thought of, can I take a polygraph?
And I'm a polygraph examiner myself.
And so, well, they told me the only concern would be, now you know it, versus you didn't know it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe what I believe, that I did not see him or anything else, but then they said, well, now you know that it was a man, even though at the time you didn't.
Right.
And it could fluctuate. But I believe, and I will, if that's what I got to do,
mm-hmm.
I believe with all my heart. I did not know what it was. I thought it and assumed it was a deer. And I didn't know it was him until I saw him the next day.
Mm-hmm. Who'd you talk to about it?
I think I talked to Tim, and then Tim asked the DCI folks.
Oh, okay.
Like Tyler is our guy, is the agent here. I think he's the one that went out and secured the scene right away and such. He's our agent here, and
Yep.
here. I think he gives polygraphs. We can obviously give polygraphs just like the folks probably do when you hire new agents and such. I've never taken a polygraph or anything.
I was curious because I'm very familiar with most of your examiners.
Yep.
You know,
I mean, I
so
think
it was more curiosity.
I think Tim talked to Tyler.
Okay.
Who talked to. You know, I believe I thought I hit a deer. You know, I didn't know what I hit, but I thought I hit a deer because that's the only thing that made sense. Why would you think a man is walking down the side of a road in dark?
Right.
Did you talk to anybody else about any aspects of investigation?
I guess.
Like crime scene investigators?
No.
You said you mentioned it to Tim about that.
Right.
How about phone forensics, any of that kind of stuff?
Well, I asked your guy a little bit, you know, Cassidy,
Yep.
you know, how it would work, and then he was explaining, because of course, you know, how it is a transmit and such, and I told him about that On My Way app on that phone, because it tracks, if you use it, then you don't get the points and such, but I didn't want it to be transmitting, and then that be held against me, or how it slams into the, you know, into the wheel well and such.
So you talked to Cassidy about that?
Yeah, well, I told him about that, I guess, and he said,
okay.
he says, and it doesn't like it. We put it on airplane mode, and it doesn't like that.
No, I suppose for traveling, it's...
Yeah, it didn't like the, you know, it kept beeping at them.
Sure.
You know.
Okay. Anybody else? Did you talk to anybody else about?
Can't think of anybody. Go on.
Because you guys have your own unit, don't you? Like for cyber crime or phone crap like that.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
I didn't know if you guys did or if that's something that you guys have your own people.
I guess I did ask Romer a few questions, just how phones work and how they transmit and such.
And who's Gromer?
He's the head of my ICAC unit.
Oh, okay.
Out of Rapid City. He was there one day, and I just asked him, well, how do things work? How fast do they transmit? What will it get held against me? I explained this On My Way app again, you know, and such.
And he's out of Rapid City?
Yeah, he's headquartered out of Rapid City.
Okay.
So he's like your coordinator for your whole ICAC,
yeah,
DCI?
He's the boss of the ICAC division of
Okay.
DCI, yes.
Okay.
So if we arranged for a polygraph, you'd be willing to take one?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, we have, I mean, your guys, obviously, we can't do that.
Right.
And our guys have to do theirs in North Dakota, just like your guys have to do them in South Dakota, because they're licensed there.
There's licensing issues.
I guess if you're asking, I'll let you ask first. If you're asking if I'll go to North Dakota, hell yes, I'll go. You know, I mean, if that's what it takes or whatever. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, we were just brainstorming how we could do this, and, and it's like, well,
right.
We could have them come to Bismarck, and one of our guys there could do it.
I'm willing to do that. Yes.
Okay.
Whatever I can do to cooperate.
And like I said, I mean, from the beginning, you've been cooperative.
Well, again, the hardest part of this is I wouldn't do anything different. I didn't know that this was going to happen to me, obviously. Again, why would a man be walking down the road? I believe I'm on the road, and wham, and my life changes. I called 911, I got the sheriff out there, you know, I thought I was doing the right things. Obviously, I didn't see everything that I should have seen, probably, or not, but I did not see him until the next day.
Well, quite frankly, we're going to continue on.
Okay.
We're going to keep doing our stuff. Like I said, we got.
Like, yeah.
We've been spending
A lot of time.
A lot of time, and that's because we want to do a thorough job. We don't want anything.
How about, so do you have any, obviously now we gotta set this up and such to go up there and everything, but do you have any kind of time estimates before you'll do your report? And then where does your report go?
To that county.
Good. I mean, well,
that's
the first night I was dead. The governor did a press conference and said I was involved in a one-car fatality, and my whole family thought I was dead.
Sure.
And I would like, obviously, a chance to know what's happening, before it's on all the media.
And we don't control.
I understand that, but I didn't know you were sending it right to the governor, first.
We didn't.
No. That you were going to send the report when it comes, or what?
No, we're not sending it
to the county.
We're not sending it to the governor.
I'm the case, so I have my reports set up to go to the Highway Patrol, because they're technically the lead on this, so they need to and the Hyde County State's Attorney. That's it.
Okay. Right.
So actually, honestly, for a very high-profile case, I have a very short distribution list on this, because it's... As many other people would like to get the reports, there's no reason.
The governor says you're going to put them out all when they come.
Yeah, sorry.
Right,
that's a freight train that we're not going to stop. I mean, I'm not going to stop.
Can you tell me, is my toxicology back or anything? Can you tell me any of that?
I'll tell you it's zero.
Right.
Just like you knew.
Absolutely.
You knew that. And we followed up, with the folks that and I don't know if they called you or not, and I don't care if they did. Because I talked to the waitress, and I talked to the bar owner.
Okay.
I talked to those people, and I knew what it was going to be, but we had to
do your due diligence. Absolutely.
And the HP that came there was because I told them.
Okay.
I told them, I said, just go do it. I didn't know you from Adam. I said, maybe not.
Right.
But either way, we need to do this
because
it's the right thing to do. And so they did it on my bequest.
Okay.
Because at that time I already knew that I was the one coming down here. And so we're just gonna, I wanted to make sure, if you were or if you weren't.
Absolutely.
It was gonna, granted it's a little late, but
it's
better than nothing.
If we didn't do it, then public perception would have been that you were completely annihilated out there driving.
Well, that's what they said anyway.
Yeah.
But I did not have any alcohol. How about, can you tell me if his toxicology's come back?
We don't have any of that yet.
Okay. They said that might be a while.
Yeah, we don't have that yet.
And that's out of our hands because that went to Ramsey County, Minnesota.
Right. So. And how about the accident reconstructionist expert out of Wyoming?
Well, they have the 3 guys working that are construction guys here, reconstruction guys here, and then they're working in conjunction with him. So that's still it's all new. This has been labor intensive, quite honestly.
Absolutely.
And we're honestly trying to get everything covered.
And we got calls of from North Dakota taxpayers of why we were paying to do a South Dakota investigation, and we know we've done ones for you folks. Last year there was an auditor issue we investigated.
It goes back and forth, and
Yep.
the general public doesn't know it. But how else do you maintain the integrity? So we just do it, and generally it's not advertised as widely as this is. But I think they wanted to make sure that it wasn't. As one of the cousins said, another big cover-up.
Right. Oh, well, yes. I won't say anything.
Yeah, so that's that.
Any other questions?
I have nothing.
I don't have anything at this point, Jason.
I appreciate you coming in. Just thank you for all your cooperation.
Yeah.
We do appreciate it.
We hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it is what it is, and we look at what we're doing and what we're seeing as evidence. That's the best we can do.
I did not know it was a man until the next day. I'll go to my grave saying that, and I'll happily take a polygraph. So.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, we'll work on that angle, and we have the prosecutor in the loop too.
Okay.
So we'll just keep going forward and see what we find out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and press the notification bell. Additionally, you can view our playlists and most recent videos. Thank you for watching.